Chapter 21. Naruto was very unhappy about letting Zabuza run away. He was not ruthless enough at the beginning. If he had been more ruthless, he could have directly nailed Flying Thunder God on Zabuza and by. Not to mention 40 meters, even 400 meters would be no problem. Now Bai carried Zabuza and ran away, leaving him with trouble. Sasuke has never felt so weak as he does now. He has been regarded as an elite in school since he was a child. He graduated with the top graduate. Since the establishment of the ninja team, he has always claimed to be the most powerful in the team. But after today's battle, there was no highlight today. On the contrary, Naruto, who had been ignored by him, shined. Whether it was rescuing Kakashi or the last arrow, he felt a fatal threat from that attack. If he was in that storm just now, the consequences can be imagined. In addition to the initial reluctance, Naruto immediately returned to the idiotic optimist attitude. July made a seal and removed the mirror flower and water moon. Dasna walked out from behind a big tree. July grabbed his collar. "Uncle, this time you are a jonin, you should prepare the reward. Now I want more than just mission contribution, I also want money." Naruto put Kakashi on his back with the help of Sasuke. July looked at Naruto's funny appearance of carrying Kakashi in silence. He found 2 strong branches nearby, made a stretcher with his backhand and threw it to Naruto. Naruto realized how stupid he was just now. Because Kakashi knelt, the few people did not walk fast. They had to take a boat in the middle, so it was not until the evening of the day. They arrived at Dasna's house. Kakashi was still unconscious. The few people had no time to take care of him. They were all eating like crazy. They were either attacked or on guard against being attacked along the way. They were physically and mentally exhausted. When I was hungry, I could only eat the unpalatable soldier's pills. Now I can finally relax and have a hot meal. Even though the dishes on the table were all vegetarian, the 3 of them still ate very happily. In the middle of the meal, Naruto had a fierce quarrel with Dasna's grandson. The reason was that Dasna's grandson Inari looked down on them. He also said that those who tried to be heroes were too stupid. With Naruto's quarreling physique, he can make you say that black is white. How could he miss this opportunity to quarrel? Look, Sasuke and Naruto didn't stop him. In the end, the 2 of them didn't care, and they quarreled as much as they wanted. Just don't affect your meal. The day at noon, Kakashi, who had been in a coma for 3 days, finally woke up. I asked about the situation after the coma. Only then did I know that it was Naruto who showed his power and drove away that Bai. Sasuke took this opportunity to ask the questions in his heart. "Kakashi, what's wrong with your Sharingan?" Kakashi touched his left eye. "It's just a gift from a good friend." Sasuke was not very satisfied with this answer, but when he saw Kakashi's expression become sad, he didn't bother to argue anymore. Naruto mocked Kakashi on the side. "Teacher Kakashi, you are too weak. It hasn't been long since the fight, and you've been unconscious for so long. Are you really a jonin?" The memory of an idiot is always surprisingly short. He completely forgot how Kakashi had beaten him. Kakashi smiled helplessly. "This is the price of using the Sharingan, because I am not an Uchiha. So it can't be used for a long time." July pushed the door in with food. "Teacher Kakashi, eat something." Kakashi asked July while eating. "July, what do you think of that Haku?" July sorted out her thoughts a little. "Haku, bloodline limit ice release. It's obvious that he is with Zabuza. Looking at his age, he should be about the same age as us. The situation of his strength is not very clear, because he wants to escape. So the specific information is very vague, but they will definitely come back later. A very standard intelligence report. Ninjas are not all about fighting and killing, and information is always the most important." After listening, Kakashi had a basic understanding of Haku. Bloodline limit, trouble. I don't know when my body can recover. If Haku comes to assassinate at this time, July and the other 3 alone may not be Haku's opponents. It is recognized by the whole ninja world that ninjas with bloodline limits automatically raise their strength to a higher level. It means that as genin, those with bloodline limits can kill ordinary genin in seconds. Naruto is the last one, and Sasuke is the last one. She also has a blood limit, but it has not yet awakened. July, although she has always performed very well in ES battles. Whether it is intelligence gathering, tactical formulation, combat awareness, and overall view, she is top-notch. After reviewing the ES battles, even Kakashi could not find any faults. But in the end, she is just an ordinary civilian ninja. He also knew the purpose of the third generation to arrange July into the 7th team. Although Naruto and Sasuke had said before, the power of July's last arrow. But it was just hearsay, not seeing it with their own eyes. And considering that the two people have never seen the power of large-scale ninjutsu. Just think that the two people's description is exaggerated. In this case, the strength of these three people is the key to this mission. After eating in a hurry, Kakashi led the three people to the forest to Dazna's house on crutches. For this mission, the three of you are crucial. So now I will guide you in your training. The first lesson is to control chakra. After saying this, in the surprised eyes of Naruto and Sasuke. Step on the tree trunk and hang sideways on the tree at a 90 degrees position, and then continue to walk up. Finally hang upside down on the branch. Naruto thought it was very cool after watching it, and shouted that he wanted to learn. Sasuke also showed an interested expression. Only July raised his hand to show that he had something to say. But after thinking about it, it is better to do than to say. Directly in the surprised eyes of the three people, he completed the same operation as Kakashi just now. Hang upside down to Kakashi. Seeing July complete the tree climbing training so easily. Sasuke, who was not convinced, also imitated the two people's movements. As soon as one foot stepped on the tree trunk, it slid down. It was impossible to stand at all. The same happened to Naruto, who fell to the ground before taking the second step. Feel the chakra in your body and slowly attach it to the soles of your feet. The difficulty of this training lies in stability. The amount of chakra attached to the soles of your feet cannot be too much. If there is too much, the tree trunk will be crushed. If there is too little, there will be no adhesion. So you must control the amount of chakra and steadily gather and attach it to your feet. After listening to Kakashi's words, Naruto and Sasuke began to climb trees. Kakashi looked at July on the side. July, have you ever done tree climbing training before? You look relaxed now. You should be able to tread water. July nodded. Let the two people over there practice slowly, and Kakashi took July deeper into the forest. Don't think wrongly, everyone, it's just a simple guidance for training. July, you have done a good job in basic chakra control. I don't know what you need to learn. Do you have any ideas? Let me see if I can help. Chapter 22. July has a very clear understanding of the future. But it doesn't mean that she is working in isolation and refuses help from others. There must be a teacher among three people. Although July in her ES life had never watched Naruto, she didn't know the future development. But she was a real otaku. Not watching Naruto doesn't mean she hasn't watched other anime. Many of her current ninjutsu research and development are actually borrowed from anime games in her ES life. People say that bows and arrows are rubbish and dogs don't even use them. If you have the ability, go and tell Red A. If you have the ability, go and tell Ishtar, the goddess of Venus. A mountain-shaking star firewood will blow up your dog head. But now these are too far away for me. Now I am still a little Karami in the ninja world. I guess any senior ninja can easily beat me. Retract my thoughts, and now it is most important to improve myself. Teacher Kakashi, you can see that my main means is long-range bows and arrows. So I want to learn some offensive ninjutsu. See if I can combine ninjutsu with bows and arrows. It doesn't matter what level it is, as long as it's not complicated. Before, I was still worried about the problem of insufficient contribution points. After all, I have to exchange some interesting ninjutsu to support my research. And there is Flying Thunder God, a big contributor. The landlord's family really has no surplus food. Kakashi is a jonin anyway, so it should be no problem for him to know dozens of ninjutsu. But she didn't know Kakashi's situation, otherwise she wouldn't have such a naive idea. After listening to July's request, Kakashi pondered for a while. Then he took out a palm-sized piece of paper. I don't know what your attribute is, so let's test it first. This is a special paper for testing attributes. Inject Chakra into it. July took the test paper and injected Chakra. The Chakra test paper soon changed. The four corners of the test were on fire, wet, crushed, and wrinkled. Finally, the paper was split in half from the middle. Kakashi excitedly grabbed July's hand. All attributes, July, you are all attributes. Kakashi couldn't help but be excited. Among the ninjas known in Konoha, only the third generation Hokage and himself have all attributes. It has been a long time since such a genius appeared. As long as July continues to improve steadily, she will definitely be a Kage-level strongman in the future. But Kakashi soon became entangled. Because July just said that she learned ninjutsu to cooperate with bows and arrows. I want to invent a ninjutsu that combines ninjutsu with bows and arrows. July may not understand how difficult it is to invent ninjutsu at a young age. But I know it. I have been a jonin for so many years, and I have only invented one ninjutsu so far. July has such a good talent. If she wastes her time on this kind of thing, he himself would not forgive himself. But how should I tell this disciple? It is obvious that her fighting style has always been bows and arrows, although she has used other weapons in the middle. But her fighting habits have been formed, and she must have made a lot of efforts for it. I can't assert that giving up bows and arrows to practice escape techniques is definitely suitable for July. That is equivalent to denying July's ES efforts. The beliefs and goals that I have always insisted on were trampled and denied by others. It is easy to destroy her. July saw Kakashi standing there silently, with his expression sometimes tangled, sometimes regretful, and sometimes painful. It made her confused. Is the request I made too much? Didn't I say that it doesn't need to be complicated, even if it is low level, it doesn't matter? Helpless July could only pull her hand out of Kakashi's hand and pat him. Kakashi finished his imagination. After thinking about it, he decided to persuade July. Jiyue, you have 5 very rare attributes. It's too difficult to invent ninjutsu. Focus on training and learn escape techniques. In the future, you can even surpass the third Hokage. Surpass Sarutobi Hiruzen. July said that it's not enough to have hands. Now July seems to understand vaguely what Kakashi was thinking just now. July is too lazy to explain, just show it directly. With a clap of his hands, the time and space special effects are fully turned on. Between the two slowly opened hands, a black longbow appeared. The triple magic circle in front of the left eye looked so mysterious and dazzling. 2 chakra arrows condensed on the longbow. In the blink of an eye, the 2 arrows shot out. However, the target direction is completely opposite, one is straight forward and the other suddenly turns at a weird angle. Flying behind. The straightforward one exploded directly when it touched the tree trunk, and the power of the explosion directly hit the tree as thick as a person was blown off in the middle. The one flying behind him suddenly turned into a ball-shaped storm. There was not a single intact flower or tree in the entire storm range. The huge noise startled Naruto and Sasuke, who were climbing a tree on the other side. The two of them ran over quickly and took attacking postures. But there was no enemy at the scene except for the traces of damage caused by July's 2 arrows. Seeing Kakashi's expression, the 2 people understood what was going on and went back to climb the tree. July walked in front of Kakashi, and this was the first time Kakashi saw the ring in front of July from a close distance. The 3 layers of rings with different colors and slow rotation were so dazzling. Black, spiritual eyes. Farsightedness magnifies the 360 degrees full field of vision. Purple, knowledge treasure house. Record and analyze everything you see. Red, matrix ring. I can't explain the function to you clearly, just treat it as an auxiliary to the purple knowledge treasure house. After July introduced each magic circle, he dispersed one to reveal the one. Simple and clear. It was simple for July, but it was a huge shock to Kakashi. Did you develop all these yourself? July nodded, but his expression became very serious. Teacher Kakashi, what do you think of Konoha now? Kakashi was stunned, not understanding why July asked this question. July did not give Kakashi a chance to speak, and then threw out another shocking news. Uzumaki Naruto, is he the child of the 4th Hokage? Kakashi was indeed shocked by July's words. Why do you come to this conclusion? July tapped his temple. Teacher Kakashi, I am a commoner. But don't really think of me as one of those fools in Konoha village. The wife of the fourth Hokage is the Jinchuriki of the East generation. Although the Konoha high-level officials have blocked most of the news and sealed all the records. Don't underestimate the power of unofficial history. The Hokage's wife's belly bulged slightly in the second half of Konoha's 47th year, so the time of delivery was 48 years. And how many years did the Hokage rebellion take place, Kakashi teacher? The Hokage's wife's due date was 48 years, the Ninetales rebellion was 48 years, I was born in 48 years. Naruto was born in 48 years. So many coincidences happened in 48 years, and the most interesting thing is that Naruto has been called a demon fox since he was a child. Until now, Naruto is still being bullied by Konoha. And teacher Kakashi, I also found a record about your father, Konoha White Fang. Do you want to listen? Kakashi, who was still surprised, turned and exuded a murderous aura. This murderous aura seemed to become real, and July, who was in the murderous aura, couldn't stop trembling all over. This is the Jonin. Before July finished speaking, a figure with golden hair blocked in front of July. Teacher Kakashi, what are you doing? Do you want to kill July? Naruto's sudden appearance woke Kakashi up. After so many years, Kakashi seemed to have let it go. In fact, he hadn't, he could only hide these in his heart. Just now, when he heard July mention him, the darkness in his heart suddenly broke out. That's why he lost control. Chapter 23. July had already discovered Naruto. When she was introducing the magic circle to Kakashi, she saw through her spirit eyes that Naruto had not left. So she said these words to Naruto on a whim. Her original plan was to directly mention Hatake Tsukumo. Then use this to end Kakashi from exposing himself too early. After discovering Naruto, she simply told all her speculations. To see if Naruto's saintly habit could be corrected. Why didn't Naruto leave but hide secretly? In fact, he wanted to steal the teacher's knowledge. He just wanted to see if Kakashi was secretly teaching July powerful ninjutsu. If he was, he would pester Kakashi to learn. But he accidentally heard the shocking news about his life experience. Kakashi calmed down and looked at July, who had regained his calmness, and Naruto, who was excited beside him. He sighed. July, are these all deduced from the so-called unofficial history? July nodded. Seeing July nod, Kakashi was completely convinced by July's wisdom. So, you have already discovered Naruto, and those words just now were deliberately said to him. Do you know that Naruto's life experience is an absolute secret in the village? If you tell it now, your life may be in danger. July still nodded calmly. So, Mr. Kakashi, I want to make a deal with you. Of course, not now. After you hear the news, you can decide whether to make this deal or not. She made this move, which was actually very dangerous. She didn't know to what extent Kakashi was brainwashed by the third generation. But combined with Kakashi's speech challenging the ninja rules and the news from Hatake Tsukumo, she believed that even if Kakashi refused the deal, he would not sell herself out. So at this point, no matter whether Kakashi accepted the deal or not, all achieved their goals. Hatake Shigesaku, known as Konoha White Fang. A terrifying existence during World War II. At the height of his fame, he even surpassed the third Hokage. The Fire Country daimyo personally bestowed the Hokage half-sleeves. But later, when he was carrying out a top-secret mission, he failed in order to rescue his companions, causing huge losses to Konoha. After returning to the village, not only did the whole village insult him, but the rescued ninja not only did not explain anything. He even followed others to scold. In the end, the Konoha White Fang tragedy occurred. The villagers speculated that Senior White Fang chose to commit suicide because he could not bear the insults and the self-blame for causing huge losses to the village. Hearing this, Teacher Kakashi, don't you understand yet? Kakashi is not a fool, he is a genius. Otherwise, he would not have won the title of Jonin at the age of 12. The experience of his father is exactly the same as Naruto's. Tell me what you have inferred. Seventh Month walked to Kakashi and helped him find a place to sit down. Teacher Kakashi, have you never doubted it? What kind of loss did Senior Tsukumo bring? You were in the village at that time. In addition to hearing the news of huge losses, did you feel any other differences in the village? If it really became known to everyone in the village, it wouldn't be strange if there were any changes in the village, right? But, apart from the scolding, are there any changes or influences? Seventh Month's words were like a thunderbolt, hitting Kakashi's mind fiercely. At that time, the Hatake clan was also an important existence in the village, and his father was a high-ranking official in Konoha. Although he was still young at that time, he also received elite education. If it was really because of his father that caused huge losses to the village, there is no reason why he couldn't feel it. So why is it? July seemed to know Kakashi's doubts. Teacher Kakashi, the self-narration in that unofficial history is like this. The news that Senior Tsukumo failed in his mission came from the Umbu. Kakashi interrupted July's words. Impossible, my father was the head of the Umbu at that time. Without his order, who dared to spread the news in the Umbu? But Kakashi, who was still excited just now, suddenly fell silent. Teacher Kakashi, it seems that you have discovered it. This Umbu is not that Umbu, and our Konoha has two Umbu. Teacher Kakashi, the following is my own speculation. Whether it is right or wrong, you can decide whether you believe it or not. Naruto, I will also tell you about your speculation about your life experience later. Similarly, whether you believe it or not depends on you. Hatake Tsukumo became famous in World War II, and his popularity once surpassed that of the third Hokage. This made the Hokage and other Konoha high-level officials full of fear, and they did not allow the head of a big family to become Hokage in Konoha. What's funny is that the Sarutobi clan, which was originally a civilian family, is now the largest clan in Konoha because of the third Hokage. At that time, Senior Tsukumo was in the limelight, and it was during World War II. Konoha still needed Senior Tsukumo to sit on the battlefield. So they could only lie dormant for the time being. But the daimyo's move to grant the Hokage half-sleeves completely made the Konoha high-level officials unable to sit still. Then they planned the failure of that mission in order to suppress Senior Tsukumo. Let him lose all his original aura. From a hero of Konoha, he became a rat crossing the street. But in the final analysis, what was this mission? What happened in the process? What kind of huge losses were caused? No one knows that the civilians of Konoha have become puppets manipulated by the upper echelons. They have become accomplices who helped the upper echelons force Tsukumo-senpai to death. But the third Hokage who allowed all this to happen is essentially the same murderer as the mastermind behind all this. As Hokage, doesn't he have the means to stop the spread of the news? Just like Naruto, judging from your reaction just now, he should indeed be the orphan of the fourth Hokage. As the son of a hero who suppressed the Nine-Tails Rebellion, shouldn't he have been well-dressed and well-loved since childhood? But how is Naruto treated? Who spread the news about the Jinchuriki? As the most important Jinchuriki in the village. Shouldn't he be hidden and protected? But now, who in Konoha village doesn't know that Naruto is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? If I were a spy, the entire ninja world would now know that Naruto is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. The consequences, Kakashi-sensei, you should know better than me, right? But what about our beloved Hokage? Did he stop the spread of the news? Seventh Moon had said enough today, and raised his hand to stop Naruto who wanted to ask. Naruto, if you have any questions, go ask Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi-sensei is an eyewitness of these 12 years. The time will be handed over to the two people present. They need time to digest it. After all, Seventh Moon has revealed the dark history of the entire Konoha. Whether it is true or false, right or wrong, the impact it brings must be huge. Chapter 24. July ran to Sasuke to share some of his experience. Sasuke asked about Kakashi and Naruto. July explained that the two were practicing tree climbing, and he was sent by Kakashi to help him. Now there were only two of them left in the field. Sasuke invited July to spar. Ever since he saw the strength shown by July, he was proud and conceited and wanted to fight with July. July looked at Sasuke with a serious face and had no choice but to agree. Kakashi had been exposed, so he didn't care about one more. He set up his posture and started sparring with Sasuke. They had never fought before. After all, sparring in school has always been separated by men and women. In the first battle with July, Sasuke was obviously very cautious. First, there was a wave of physical skills confrontation, which was easily resolved by July. The step was the battle of ninja tools, but no matter what Sasuke threw, all of them were shot down by July's arrows. Sasuke, who was getting more and more excited, didn't care that this was a competition. He quickly retreated, jumped into the air, and formed a seal at a snail's pace of 2 seals per second. Fire escape, great fireball technique. After releasing the ninjutsu, Sasuke looked at July standing there in a daze from midair. Sasuke suddenly realized what a stupid thing he had done. He hurriedly shouted, "July, get out of the way." But just after landing, he hadn't gone over to check the situation. He felt a chill on his neck, and a shiny kunai was placed there. Because the movement just now was a little big, the surface skin had been cut, and a little blood oozed out. July took back the kunai in time, and Sasuke turned around and looked at July bitterly. "I didn't expect that you have been hiding your skills in school." "So, what have I been doing in school for so many years?" July patted Sasuke on the shoulder. "Whatever you have experienced, good or bad, is an important part of your life. Maybe you find it unacceptable, but this cannot be changed. You may think that I am stronger than you now, but who can say what will happen in the future?" Guf felt that she had said more words today than in the ES 12 years. "Some things, I advised. Whether you listen or not, it has nothing to do with her." For so many years, killing Uchiha Itachi was the only motivation for Sasuke to live. How could he who wanted to become stronger and take revenge be willing to do so easily? "I don't have so much time to wait. If I can, I want to kill that man now. But now I am too weak. I can't even beat you." Guf can't find an adjective to describe Sasuke now. This guy is a stubborn person. The degree of stubbornness may even exceed Naruto. You can think whatever you want. You may not be able to afford the price of excessive pursuit of power. Don't let your brother die before you die. You only know that he is strong, but where is he strong? How strong is he? You don't even know the intelligence of the opponent. What revenge are you talking about? After listening to July's words, Sasuke fell into deep thought. Yes, just like July said, how strong is he? Where is he strong? I don't know anything. Then what should I do? July looked at Sasuke like an idiot. Uchiha Itachi is already a traitor, and many of his files have been made public. Even if some things involve confidential information, as the only survivor of the Uchiha clan, you can and are qualified to view these things, right? Sasuke suddenly realized, yes. He is now nominally the patriarch of the Uchiha clan. Although there are not many people in the clan. If Sasuke wants to know about Itachi, maybe I can help a little. Kakashi came out of the bushes nearby, followed by Naruto who looked dazed. Sasuke, overjoyed, didn't notice Naruto's abnormality at all, and started to ask Kakashi. But to be honest, even if Sasuke found out, he might not have time to deal with him. Naruto walked to July and bowed seriously. "July, thank you for letting me know my life experience. And thank you very much for that time in front of the ramen shop." Naruto's serious expression made July feel uncomfortable. She still felt that he looked more naive and silly before. "You don't have to thank me, I just do what I think is right. If you have time, you should care about your good friend. He feels extremely uncomfortable and abnormal." "Good friend? What do you mean?" "Sasuke. What's wrong with him?" July he waved his hand to show that he didn't want to talk. Seeing this, Naruto could only continue the tree-climbing training just now. I can only say that Naruto is worthy of being the protagonist, who just learned about his life experience. In such a complicated state of mind, he still has the energy to train. I can't help but want to give him a thumbs up. This psychological quality is really strong, much stronger than the blackened boy with the second-year disease door. Kakashi on the opposite side may be annoyed by Sasuke's questions. He could only perfunctorily tell Sasuke that he would talk to him in detail when he got back. Let Sasuke continue to practice tree climbing with Naruto, and Kakashi will have time to find July. "Tell me about the content of your deal." July's mouth curled up slightly, and the plan was successful. Kakashi looked at the smiling July and suddenly felt a little regretful. "It's agreed in advance that things cannot violate my principles and cannot harm the interests of the village. Everything else is easy to talk about. July nodded quickly. Don't worry, Mr. Kakashi. The deal is very simple. Just keep my situation secret from the village. No need to hide it deliberately. Just mention it briefly when describing me later. How about it, Mr. Kakashi? Isn't it simple? Kakashi didn't expect July's deal to be so simple. But why? Isn't life all about fame and fortune? As long as she shows her talent, fame and fortune will be within her reach. Why hide herself deliberately? July guessed what Kakashi was thinking and explained. Mr. Kakashi, I don't trust the top leaders of Konoha now. Whether it's your father's affairs or Naruto's affairs, they make me very uneasy. So for the past 9 years, I have been trying my best to hide myself. It's not that I don't love this village, but that someone in this village is eating people. I don't want to be a plaything or victim of a big shot. Some words should be said at the right time. Before, she felt that she had never really integrated into this world. Whether it was training or developing various ninjutsu skills. She was always in the mindset of playing a game. But everything will change with the passage of time. During the 6 years of school life, she made many interesting friends and formed a bond. Maybe now she doesn't have the awareness to protect the village for the sake of faith. But who can say for sure what the road ahead will be? Chapter 25. Whether it was about Kakashi's father or Naruto's life story. These have been many years in the past. Life must go on. Although Kakashi's mentality was a little affected, he was an adult after all. He quickly adjusted, and Naruto didn't need anyone else to worry about him. As long as he was with Sasuke, the quarrel system was automatically activated. Everything else would be thrown behind him. They were still working hard to climb the tree. As for July, because Kakashi's body had not recovered yet. So he simply taught her a few small attack ninjutsu. Kakashi witnessed what overflowing talent is. He learned it at a glance and invented a new ninjutsu in half a day. Then think about his Chidori Raikiri. Kakashi, who couldn't bear the blow, could only run to Naruto. He watched Naruto's tree climbing training several times. He thought to himself, this is a normal person. Once July started to study, how could he pay attention to the surrounding situation? Holding a branch, he started writing and drawing on the ground. Kakashi couldn't help with the situation on July's side. So he devoted himself to teaching Naruto and Sasuke. After all, Kakashi was a famous jonin in Konoha. He was top-notch in both theory and practice. Naruto and Sasuke made rapid progress under his teaching. They not only completed the tree climbing training but also the water treading training. Their strength has also improved significantly. Of course, they didn't forget the mission. Except Kakashi, the three of them took turns to protect Dasna, who was building the bridge. More than 20 days passed quickly, and it was very peaceful during this period. The expected attacks by Haku and Zabuza did not happen. On this day, the work on the bridge was also nearing completion. Kakashi, who had fully recovered, brought July and Sasuke to the bridge to perform the protection mission. But accidents always happen inadvertently. The weather was originally clear, but suddenly a thick fog rose. Let Dasna and the others evacuate the bridge quickly. Two figures suddenly appeared in the middle of the bridge. After a closer look, it was Zabuza and Haku who had not appeared before. Kakashi, long time no see. This time will not be the same as last time. Have you thought about how to die? Before Kakashi spoke, Sasuke spoke first. Last time, I don't know who faked his death and escaped. July, who was holding a spear to him, couldn't help but give Sasuke a thumbs up. Brother, you understand sarcasm. Zabuza is a jonin after all, and he was not angered by Sasuke's words. Instead, he turned and looked at Haku beside him. I'll leave those two brats to you. Remember not to show mercy. After that, he went to fight Kakashi. He suffered a loss from the Sharingan last time, so he was not careless this time. He used the mist-hidden technique to clear the way throughout the whole process. Bai slowly walked to July. Didn't Naruto come today? I went to the forest to pick mushrooms that day and accidentally saw Naruto, who had fainted from training. I even left him a few of the soldiers' grain pills I made. Bai still spoke softly, with his confusing appearance. The perfect wife door. Naruto is really blessed by God to be alive until now. He was found by the enemy after he fainted. I don't know why you didn't attack Naruto, but I accept this favor. I won't kill you later. As quiet as a virgin and as agile as a rabbit, although this word is not appropriate here. But the battle started at this moment. Ice escape, magic mirror ice crystal. Before he rushed to Bai's side, July was trapped by the ice mirrors that suddenly appeared around him. Sasuke shouted and wanted to rush in, but was stopped by July. Sasuke, trust me, don't come in yet. You stay outside and protect Mr. Dasna. Find an opportunity to assist Kakashi-sensei and kill Zabuza. Hearing July's words, Sasuke waved his fist angrily. Helpless, he could only stay by Dasna's side to protect him. Bai's figure suddenly appeared in an ice mirror. Aren't you going to ask your companions to come in? It seems that you are very confident in your own strength. Actually, I don't want to fight with you either, but I am Zabuza-sama's tool. As a tool, I only need to obey orders and help the adults clear obstacles. So, don't die. July looked at Bai's ice mirror, and his smile became more and more obvious. You are going to fight me in an open area outside with the help of thick fog. I really don't have much confidence. But you insist on trapping me in here. This technique not only traps me, but also you are trapped too, right? Chiyue's spear had long been replaced with a longbow. During this period, what she studied was not simply the fusion of arrows and ninjutsu. Applying these ninjutsu to her own attack methods is her training during this period. Today's battle is to check the results of this training. Bai in the ice mirror made a seal with one hand, and Bai's figure appeared in the ice mirrors on all sides. And his hands were full of thousands of books, and all the dense thousands of books were thrown at July. Chiyue was calm and composed, and the triple magic circle of his left eye was fully opened. Keep shooting arrows. Bai was stunned by the scene in front of him. The advantage of the weapon of thousands of books is that it is small and not easy to be discovered. But the thousands of books he threw, whether in front of him or in the thousands of bones, were in the blind spot. All of them were shot down by July with a bow and arrow. The half-meter range with July's body as the center was clean, and countless thousands of bones were scattered on the ground outside the half-meter range. Although the ice mirror could not be seen from the outside, the sound of ding-dong came out. Sasuke listened to the dense sound and automatically imagined the fierce battle in his mind. But he couldn't help it all now, and Kakashi's battlefield was a bit far away from here. He couldn't help for the time being, so he could only turn around in a hurry. In the magic mirror ice crystal, the clone disappeared. Bai Jian's long-range means did not work at all. He could only use his advantage of being able to shuttle between ice mirrors to carry out close combat sneak attacks. Throw an attack in front of July first, and then quickly shuttled into the ice mirror behind her. Flying out with a kunai in hand. Bai saw July dealing with the attack in front of him and didn't notice him at all. When he thought he had succeeded, July suddenly kicked Bai high with a back kick and kicked Bai into the air. Bai was kicked away, but he was surprised but not panicked. After all, there was also his own ice mirror above, and he could get into the ice mirror and attack again. But the nightmare came. Do you think July's life is over? Then why did she pretend not to notice by cooperating with him in acting? Holding a longbow, he quickly adjusted his body shape and shot a shock arrow. Just when Bai was about to touch the ice mirror, it exploded, and the shock sent Bai to the ground. July arrived at the landing point in advance, and a back somersault kick. Kicked Bai back into the air, and with the power of the backflip, July half-crouched and raised the bow to aim. White wings condensed on the two ends of the black longbow. The black and white colors looked gorgeous and solemn, and a huge chakra arrow quickly condensed. But if you look closely, you will find that this arrow has no arrowhead. Accompanied by a crisp phoenix cry, the huge arrow hit Bai, who had been kicked unconscious and smashed the ice mirror behind. But July didn't know if he heard it wrong. Just now, he seemed to hear Naruto's scream. The caster was defeated, and the entire magic mirror ice crystal shattered. July was revealed, and her white windbreaker fluttered in the wind. A master's pretentious temperament came to his face. Chapter 26. After pretending to be cool for a while, July hurriedly began to look for Bai's figure. His arrow just now did not have a concentrated arrowhead. Speaking of showing mercy, he must do it. Not far from the bridge, Bai's body pressed on Naruto. Naruto below was moaning weakly. July did not hear wrongly, what she heard just now was indeed Naruto's voice. But the posture of the two people made her, who had experienced the information explosion era, feel that it was hot to the eyes. The legs were crossed and entangled together, and Bai's head was just lying between Naruto's neck. Naruto subconsciously hugged Bai's waist with both hands, coupled with the faint moan. The picture was too beautiful to look at. July grabbed Bai's collar and pulled him up. Sasuke also hurried forward to check on Naruto's condition. July changed his weapon, the Tang sword, and decisively cut Bai's limbs. The tendons of his hands and feet were cut, making him completely unable to move. The pain of broken tendons woke up the unconscious Bai. Feeling the condition of his body, he sighed heavily. Turning his head, he looked at July. There was no despair or resentment in his eyes as he had imagined. Gentle and even smiling. Sasuke, on his side, was relieved after checking Naruto's condition. He stood up and kicked Naruto, who was still groaning, with his foot. "Hey, stop pretending to be the last one. It's just an ordinary collision. How long are you going to lie down? The battle is not over yet." Kakashi and the other men who were fighting seemed to have heard Sasuke's words and stopped tacitly, as if they were taking a break. The situation of both sides was not very good. Zabuza was already covered with scars, especially on his chest. The huge wound across the entire upper body accompanied Zabuza's every breath. The wound was like a hideous big mouth, opening and closing. Kakashi was not much better, on his thigh. On the arm, even in the important part of the neck, there was a wound oozing blood. Both of them didn't care about their own situation, and looked at the battlefield on the other side. But it seemed that the winner had been decided on that side, and Bai was lying on the ground miserably. And Naruto was also moaning beside him. Putting aside the worries in his heart, while guarding against Zabuza, he began to think about how to defeat Zabuza. Kakashi just now didn't try his best at all, and part of his attention was still on the battlefield on July's side. Although he had a little confidence in July, the other party was the owner of the bloodline limit after all. The reputation of the bloodline limit is not hyped, it is fought step by step. Now I see that the battle over there is won by our side. I can finally fight without restraint. From behind, he took out a scroll and unfolded it, biting his finger. He quickly made seals with both hands, summoning technique. After a burst of smoke, 5 dogs of different shapes appeared. The dogs scattered and surrounded Zabuza, biting and attacking him. But dogs are dogs, even though they are summoned beasts. But facing a flexible human, a human with the strength of a Jonin, they can't hurt Zabuza at all. Kakashi didn't want the dogs to cause any harm to Zabuza. The purpose of his summoning dogs was to use the dog's strong sense of smell to lock Zabuza's position. The dogs only needed to keep following Zabuza and harassing him. He prepared a big move on the side and found the right opportunity to end Zabuza. He grabbed the wrist of his right hand with his left hand, and lightning gathered in the palm of his right hand, quickly covering the entire palm. The sound became louder and louder, as if thousands of birds were screaming wildly. Seeing Bai's miserable state, Zabuza had lost his composure at this time. Chakra burst out wildly, and the already thick fog. With the blessing of Chakra, it became even thicker. It was almost impossible to see what was in front of him. He just wanted to kill the 3 little ghosts on the opposite side. The change in the surrounding fog made Kakashi anxious. He had to speed up the completion of Raikiri and warn Sasuke and the others. "You 3, be careful of Zabuza's attack." But it was obviously too late. Zabuza had already come to Sasuke and swung his sword. The huge blade was getting bigger and closer in Sasuke's eyes. The huge sense of oppression and the fear brought by death. Sasuke just stood there stupidly. July was too far away from Sasuke, and he had no time to rescue him at his own speed. But just when the big sword was about to split Sasuke in 2, a yellow figure knocked Sasuke away, although Sasuke was saved. But he also took the knife for Sasuke. Blood splashed on Sasuke's face. The strong smell of blood woke Sasuke up, and Sasuke quickly supported the figure that was about to fall to the ground. It was Naruto who had just pretended to be sick on the ground who saved Sasuke. The huge wound on his back was bleeding. Zabuza wanted to continue attacking, but Kakashi had quickly rushed behind Zabuza. He didn't give him any chance at all, and stabbed his heart with his right hand. The miracle didn't happen, and Kakashi's right hand went straight through his chest. His left hand tightly grasped Zabuza's knife-holding arm. Bai, lying on the ground, looked at Zabuza, who was slowly falling down helplessly. His eyes were filled with tears. But Kakashi July couldn't take care of this, and hurried to Naruto to check on him. Sasuke tried desperately to help Naruto stop the bleeding, but the effect was minimal. Self-blame, fear, helplessness, regret. All the emotions mixed together, bringing a huge impact to Sasuke. His eyes, filled with tears, were now turning scarlet, and a black magatama slowly emerged. The intense emotional impact made him successfully awaken the Sharingan. But he didn't notice these changes at all. Now he just wanted to save Naruto, his good friend who had quarreled with him since childhood. Naruto's breathing became weaker and weaker. Ahem. Ahem, how about it? Wasn't my figure handsome just now? The genius chief student is not as good as the last one. Remember, I didn't save that cold and arrogant Uchiha Sasuke. I saved my most cherished companion, Uchiha Sasuke of Team 7. Kakashi and July, who rushed over, saw Naruto with his arms hanging down. After looking at each other, they immediately felt that things were serious. The most important treasure of the village, Jinchuriki, died on the way to the mission. If he returned to the village, he would definitely be executed. When he was already thinking about whether to defect from Konoha, Kado, the mastermind behind hiring Zabuza, showed up with a bunch of scumbags. He walked to Bai, who was crawling slowly, and stepped on his head. Hey, isn't this the high and mighty ninja master? Why was he beaten so miserably? Where is your arrogant attitude as the principal before? As if he was not satisfied with what he said, he stomped on Bai's head crazily. In July, Kakashi frowned at Kado. He seemed very dissatisfied with Kado's actions. On Sasuke's side, after seeing Kado, his emotions changed drastically. In his heart, if Kado hadn't hired Zabuza and the others, then Naruto would not have died. Sasuke, who had just experienced a huge change in emotions, lost his mind. He rushed to Kado and cut off one of Kado's arms with a kunai. The severe pain made Kado roar miserably. The younger brothers behind Kado saw that their financial sponsor was injured. They were immediately unhappy and rushed over to protect Kado. But Sasuke's scarlet Sharingan and the cold aura emanating from his body made them feel as if they were in hell. They were so scared that they retreated one after another and had no desire to move forward. Seeing that his younger brother was scared away by a child, the frightened Kado quickly knelt down and begged for mercy, covering his broken arm. But Sasuke, who had lost his mind, would not listen. Various cruel moves were used on Kado. After a while, Kado was beaten to a pulp. Sasuke, whose anger subsided, regained his sanity. Looking at Kado, who was no longer in human form, he sent him to the west with a shuriken. Chapter 27. After dealing with Kado, he ignored the frightened minions. Slowly walked back to Naruto. The three of them stood in a circle, as if they were mourning. But who is Naruto? He inherited the strong physique of the Uzumaki clan and the invincible existence of the strongest tailed beast. How could he die so easily? In the dark space, a huge wooden gate was erected in the middle. It was surrounded by water, and a huge orange fox was lying down with its eyes closed inside the gate. As if sensing what was happening outside, it slowly opened its eyes. Looking up, a stream of red chakra was constantly pouring out along the gap in the fence. It soon filled the entire dark space. Outside, Naruto, who had stopped breathing, suddenly emitted a stream of red chakra. The wound behind him was also healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The three people were surprised by Naruto's changes, and the minions behind him didn't know if their heads had been twitched or what. Shouting loudly over there. Hey, white-haired and gray-haired over there, you killed our boss. Shouldn't you give us an explanation? He promised to give us 300,000 each after the job is done. Now he can't give it, and we brothers can't work in vain. Now we can only ask you for it. It can only be said that money makes the devil work. The huge financial benefits made them forget that they are now facing a group of ninjas who kill without blinking an eye. Kakashi and the other two turned around and stared at the group of people with indifference. Maybe Cardo didn't satisfy Sasuke just now. He took the lead and rushed into the crowd without hesitation. Kakashi followed closely behind, and July summoned the longbow again and shot by a reverse tilde by from behind. After a while, the group of minions were all cleared out. Naruto also woke up at this time, and July slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he is still alive, otherwise he really has no home to return to. He can only avoid being hunted down and wander around the ninja world. Seeing that Naruto is alive, Sasuke, who was killing people without expression just now, also showed a relaxed smile. Everyone is happy. The mastermind behind the scenes, Kado, is dead, and Zabuza is also dead. Only Haku is left. All the people who hindered the construction of the bridge are gone, and the mission is successfully completed. Finally, we can go back. Speaking of Haku, several people looked at the center of the bridge tacitly. Haku has already climbed to Zabuza's side. Chiyue's side and walked to Haku's side. Perhaps because he sensed the dull atmosphere around him, Naruto did not make a fuss. Instead, he followed Kakashi to Zabuza's side. I come from the Hidden Mist Village, a place that hates bloodline limits. Originally, our family of 3 lived happily, but suddenly one day my mother awakened her power. To protect me, he killed all those people. Haku's story is very touching. It is well known that the Hidden Mist Village hates bloodline limits very much. The famous bloodline limit families in the village were basically slaughtered. So the village does not allow the existence of bloodline limits. His mother was killed by his father because she awakened her bloodline limit. And he also awakened his bloodline limit because of his mother's death and killed his father. He had experienced bloody betrayal and was helpless since childhood, and he could not find the meaning of his life for a while. Later, on a snowy night, he met Zabuza. Zabuza needed a tool without emotions. Haku, who was needed again, had the meaning of life. It was very pitiful. Naruto was moved to tears after listening to it. Sasuke also sympathized with Bai. But July didn't feel anything, not that Bai wasn't pitiful. The story is over, so what? You call yourself a tool, and now you live only for others. Don't make me laugh. At least you have experienced happy times, while Naruto and I have never even seen our parents. We lost everything when we were born. July's speech was harsh and distressing. Yes, there are 2 people present who have a more miserable life than Bai. Bai, and Sasuke, at least have a beautiful and happy memory. But what about Naruto? Even so, they have grown up healthy and strong until now. Looking back at Bai's experience, perhaps it is not so sympathetic. Everything is his psychological self-distortion. Sasuke spoke appropriately at this time. Your experience is very similar to mine. My whole family was also killed by my closest people. Although I long for power and revenge, I will not give up myself to help a bad guy. You didn't attack Naruto while he was unconscious, which at least proves that you still have a conscience. Naruto didn't expect that he still had his own things to do, and hurriedly pulled Sasuke to ask what that sentence meant. As expected of Naruto, Sasuke's gratitude for Naruto disappeared in an instant. The 2 of them didn't say a few words properly, and they quarreled again. Bai, maybe still the gentle Bai in childhood. It's just that he couldn't accept it for a while because of the huge changes in his life. And Zabuza just appeared in front of him at the right time, making him mistakenly feel that he had found the meaning of his existence. Do you think Zabuza is bad? Does he really just need a fighting tool? Maybe not, they have lived together for so many years. He knows Bai's character very well, and he is not suitable to be a ninja. So even though Bai is soft-hearted every time he fights, Zabuza never said he would abandon Bai. Zabuza was a traitor from the Hidden Mist Village, but he never had that mark on his forehead that represented his origin. Perhaps, this was the mutual redemption between the 2. Everything was settled, and the bridge was built as scheduled. Kakashi and his team, who had completed their mission, were on their way back to the village. Only 4 people went out, but now 5 are back. Naruto was carrying Bai behind July. Perhaps it was because of what July and Sasuke said, or perhaps it was for other reasons. He had originally wanted to follow Zabuza, but gave up the idea. He wanted to see where Naruto grew up. Find the meaning of his life again. But Naruto was suffering now, his face was red all the way. Sasuke kept laughing at Naruto for this. Naruto was so angry that he screamed. But he had to carry people, Kakashi couldn't do it, and Sasuke didn't pay any attention to him. And July is a girl, so it's not suitable. In the end, he took all the responsibility himself. Why did he blush? It was because of Bai's face. Really, if Bai hadn't admitted it himself. He, Kakashi and Sasuke even took him to the nearby woods to verify his gender. Anyone who saw Bai at first glance would think that Bai was a girl. So, he couldn't help but think about it when he saw Bai's face along the way. July said that he just smiled and didn't say anything. Chapter 28. Because they had to take care of Bai, their pace slowed down a lot. 5 days later, they returned to the village. At the entrance of Konoha village, the eternal gatekeepers were still Shinue Izumo and Gangzi Tai. Okay, the mission is completed and we return to the village safely. I'll report the mission to the Hokage. Naruto, just send Bai to the hospital. Okay, disband. Kakashi disappeared after he finished speaking, and the remaining 3 little guys went back to their homes. After running around outside for more than a month, it's time to take a good rest. After returning home, July cleaned up a little and started cooking the food he had just bought. During this time outside, he suffered a lot. It made July want to study a ninjutsu that can store food. After eating and drinking, July fell asleep quickly on the bed. The day, he was awakened by the noisy sound outside. July got dressed and got out of bed in a daze, and went out to see what was happening outside. Sasuke, does July live in a place like this? The house is beautiful, can I build a house here too? That way I can be a neighbor to July. Sasuke stood there coldly with his arms folded across his chest. Hearing Naruto's words, he couldn't help but retort. Although this place is remote, you can't even afford to buy land with your savings. Not to mention building a house, July won't want to be a neighbor to an idiot. Sasuke's sarcasm was still so sharp. What? Arrogant Sasuke. What do you mean, who are you calling an idiot? Whoever answers is an idiot. July was woken up by the sound of 2 people arguing. Fortunately, I didn't turn on the mirror flower and water moon when I came back yesterday, otherwise July wouldn't hear anything even if they quarreled until the sky was dark. The sound of the door opening stopped Naruto and Sasuke from arguing. Seeing July still sleepy, he knew that he might have woken her up. Sorry, July. Kakashi asked us to gather together, saying that there was something important to announce. July didn't expect Sasuke to apologize. Okay, wait for me to lock the door. Soon the 3 of them came to the place Kakashi said. This time, Kakashi was not late. Hey, did everyone have a good rest last night? I'm sorry to call you all here during the break. Here's something for you to see. He took out 3 pieces of paper from his bag and distributed them. Sasuke took it. Chunin exam. Yes, the Chunin exam. The village holds the Chunin exam twice a year. So do you want to participate? You must register for the Chunin exam in a team of 3. No one less can participate. Let's talk about it in advance. This time it's a joint exam, so the participants are not just from Konoha. And the exam is dangerous. You can discuss it carefully. Don't have any burden. This selection exam is not mandatory. Naruto raised his hand at this time. Teacher Kakashi, what do you mean by the exam is dangerous? Kakashi touched the head of the famous person. Every Chunin exam has no restrictions on life and death. After Kakashi finished speaking, the scene fell into a long silence. You don't have to make a decision in a hurry. Think about it carefully. Of course, although people die in every exam, you are my recognized subordinates. So I still have confidence in you. Kakashi's words aroused Naruto's emotions. Naruto reached out and touched the forehead protector on his forehead. It's just the Chunin exam, I'm not afraid. I'll participate, what about you, Sasuke? Sasuke looked at the excited Naruto and snorted. You, the last one, are not afraid, so why would I be afraid? I'll participate, too, and I want to see what interesting opponents there are this year. The pressure was on July. Naruto and Sasuke stared at her intently, and Kakashi also looked over with interest. He was actually very confident in July's strength. If nothing unexpected happened, she would basically be promoted to Chunin. Even if she had some of her strength. Don't put pressure on me, I didn't say I wouldn't participate. Naruto jumped up happily. The three of them filled in the information and returned the form to Kakashi. Are you three sure you've made up your mind? There will be no chance to regret it later. Kakashi confirmed it one last time. Oh, Kakashi-sensei, why are you so slow? Don't worry, the three of us will definitely pass beautifully. You are thinking about treating us to a meal to celebrate later. Sasuke is not as carefree as Naruto. Since he knew about July's strength, he will never be as conceited as before. He understood what Itachi said to him before, there are always people better than you. He was eager to know how July became so strong. He came to July and bowed deeply. July, I want you to help me train. I want to get stronger. No matter how much money you have, I can give it to you as long as I have it. What a domineering CEO-style statement. Kakashi and Naruto looked at Sasuke in surprise. Sasuke before was so proud and conceited. He has always looked down on his classmates in the class. But looking at Sasuke now, he has begun to slowly let go of his pride. Naruto doesn't want only Sasuke to become stronger secretly. He also ran to Sasuke and bent down. July, take me with you. I can also give you everything I have. Naruto's speech was a little shabby. Of course, don't misunderstand Naruto's confession just now. What he said was of course the same as Sasuke's meaning, referring to money. Sasuke sold the clan land after all, so he was naturally worth a lot of money. But Naruto, there was no need to say anything. A poor guy, he had to think about eating ramen for a long time. Seventh Moon felt that he had caused himself two troubles, and quickly cast a look of help to Kakashi. But Kakashi had his own difficulties. I'm sorry, because this is a joint exam. So, there are many areas where the village's security needs to be strengthened, but there are not enough people, and I, the teacher, have also been assigned a lot of work. So July, there are only a few days left, and all companions can help if they can. Okay, since you all agree, go to classroom 301 of the school at 3 p.m. 5 days later. What could July say? He could only grit his teeth and agree. Let's make it clear in advance that my training method may not be suitable for you. If it doesn't work, don't blame me. Naruto and Sasuke nodded quickly, and then the three of them parted ways with Kakashi. An ordinary office in the Hokage building. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat in the main seat. And the people standing opposite Hiruzen were full of people. Kakashi soon walked in. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw that everyone was there and started today's meeting directly. I won't talk about the importance of this exam. We must show the style of our Konoha. Then, when the Chunin exam is about to begin. First, the person in charge of this year's new genin comes forward. Kakashi, Hong, and Asuma walked out. How is it? Among the ninjas you have handled, do you recommend any genin to take the exam this time? Kakashi spoke first. Team 7 led by Kakashi, Uchiha Sasuke, Uzumaki Naruto, and Shintonan Yue. The above three people are well known to me, Ataki Kakashi, and I recommend them to participate in the selection exam. Hong and Asuma also recommended their own Team 8 and Team 10. As soon as the three finished speaking, people in the venue couldn't help but start discussing. Really? All three of them are recommended to participate. A new genin actually participated in the Chunin exam. It hasn't been like this for 5 years. At this time, Irika behind Kakashi couldn't help but stand up. Please wait a moment, Hokage-sama. Why Irika? Although it seems a bit nosy, the 10 students I just recommended are all my former students. Although they are all very talented, it's too early now. They should be allowed to accumulate more experience before taking the exam. Kakashi turned around and looked at Irika. When I became a Chunin, I was 6 years younger than Naruto and the others. It's useless to say more. They are no longer your students. They are my subordinates now. I believe them, that's all. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw that the two were about to quarrel and hurried out to stop them. Irika, I understand what you mean. In that case, give the new servants a special preparatory exam. If they pass, Irika, you have nothing to say, right? In the end, Irika agreed to the recommendation due to the identities of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Kakashi Chapter 29. July and the others still don't know that because of Irika's worry, a special test was added before the main test. But even if they knew, they wouldn't take it seriously. Leading Sasuke to the number 13 training ground, Naruto insisted on buying some food on the way. He said it was a gift to July, but everyone knew that he must be greedy. Maybe it was because of the Chunin exam, many people dressed in other countries appeared on the streets of Konoha. Suddenly, Naruto's shouting sound came from a distance. The two people who knew Naruto's personality hurriedly ran in the direction of the sound. Turning the corner, they saw Naruto fell to the ground holding his stomach. The two children to him were crying anxiously. There were two people standing opposite. A boy with a mask painted on his face, and I don't know what was behind him, but it was covered with bandages. The boy was holding the collar of a child in his hand. The other girl had yellow hair and was wearing open clothes, fishnet stockings on the lower body, and the upper body was exposed. He carried a big fan on his back. Sasuke squatted down to check on Naruto. July knew their identities by their attire and forehead protector. Friend, this is Konoha. You took hostages and injured ninjas from our village after you came. Are you a little too arrogant? The masked boy was not frightened by July's words. This kid bumped into me first, and he made a scene instead of apologizing. That's why I hate dwarfs the most. Since you Konoha don't know how to educate children, I'll educate them for you. He wanted to take action, but July didn't give him a chance. He feinted with two shurikens, and then quickly approached the masked boy. The boy quickly stretched out his hand to block the shurikens. But July also got close to him, and his finger poked the boy's elbow. The boy felt pain and let go of the child's hand. Then he kicked him away with a side kick, and returned to the ease position holding the child. It took only a few blinks of an eye to complete the series of actions. The masked boy stood up with pain, and reached out to untie the things behind him. The girl hurriedly stopped him. Kankuro, are you crazy? Are you going to use crows here? But the boy called Kankuro now just wanted to retaliate. He didn't listen to his companions at all. July put down the child in his hand and looked at the two people opposite. I know you are ninjas from the sand village of the wind country. The thing behind you should be the special skill puppet of your village, right? But listen to me first. Do you know who the child you just caught is? Kankuro and the girl looked at each other, not knowing what July meant. But July's words made the two of them feel like they fell into an ice cellar. This child is the grandson of the third generation of the strongest Hokage in the contemporary era. Do you still want to do it now? The girl quickly grabbed Kankuro and walked forward herself. But even if he is the grandson of the Hokage, he can't bump into someone without apologizing, right? Chiyue turned her head and looked at Konohamaru. Of course, she knew Konohamaru. She had been to the Hokage building many times. After all, she had met him before. This kid always followed Sarutobi Hiruzen. He shouted that he would defeat Hiruzen and inherit the Hokage. He was simply a replica of Naruto. Konohamaru, apologize now. Originally, the rebellious Konohamaru didn't want to apologize, but looking at the beautiful lady in front of him, he agreed to it. But it was impossible to apologize honestly. He was already his last stubbornness to yell sorry with his neck stiff. Chiyue touched Konohamaru's head soothingly, and he blushed. Okay, now the problem of him hitting someone has been solved. Now let's talk about other issues. He held the grandson of the Hokage hostage in Konoha and beat up the ninjas of our village. Sasuke, your family is an old guard. What should we do according to the regulations? At this time, Sasuke had helped Naruto stand up. He understood what July meant. According to the regulations of Konoha, you have to pay money and be put in solitary confinement. Seven smiled and stretched out her hand to Kenjiro and made a money gesture. So, do you choose to keep things quiet or choose to fight Konoha? They are all young and frivolous boys. No one is willing to give in. How can they admit defeat obediently? Don't go too far, woman on the opposite side. As he said that, he put down the puppet behind him, and the girl to him couldn't stop him. But at this time, a voice came from the side. "Kankuro, don't embarrass the village again." As soon as the voice fell, Kanjiro, who was hot-tempered just now, instantly lost his temper. He obediently put away the puppet and retreated. Chiyue and Sasuke looked in the direction of the sound and saw a red-haired boy carrying the huge gourd was hanging upside down on the tree branch. There was a word on the boy's forehead, and it turned out to be the word love when you look closely. But the aura emanating from the boy made July and Sasuke feel cautious. Swoosh reverse tilde the red-haired boy stood in front of the yellow-haired girl. "This exam was invited by you, Konoha. Both sides are wrong. You also taught Kankuro a lesson. Let's just let it go. My name is Gaara. What are your names, the woman and the black-haired guy over there?" July didn't want to pay attention to this boy with a middle school temperament. Sasuke, on the other hand, didn't make a move throughout the whole process, but still attracted Gaara's attention. Is this the induction between the strong? It seems that Sasuke was affected by Gaara's invisible pretentious temperament. Subconsciously, he crossed his arms and his eyes became contemptuous. For a moment, the two people's temperaments were evenly matched. "Remember, my name is Uchiha Sasuke." Gaara silently remembered this name and looked at July again. "Damn, don't bring me with you when you pretend." "Shun to July, don't remember me. I'm the woman you will never get." Gaara was stunned by July's words, but then he returned to normal. "I remember you, don't worry, I will definitely taste your blood." A terrifying statement from a middle school student. The current situation is that both July and Sasuke were asked about their names. But Team 7 has 3 people, and whoever is missing will be embarrassed at this time. Naruto rushed out shamelessly, saying that if you don't ask, it doesn't mean I can't say it myself. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, the man who will become Hokage in the future. Remember it well." But the 3 people who had already turned around and left had no intention of stopping. It seemed that Naruto was very stupid, and even Konohamaru and the other 3 children beside him couldn't stand it. Naruto and Sasuke didn't care that there were 3 kids around. They could quarrel anytime and anywhere. July couldn't figure it out. Wasn't Sasuke usually a handsome guy with a cold face? How could he be so cool and funny at times? July looked at Gaara's back and stopped the quarrel between the two. That Gaara is a little bit complicated. There are still 5 days left. Be careful if you meet us during the exam. Sasuke felt the same as July. Gaara did give him a sense of danger. Only Naruto, the idiot, didn't notice anything. The episode passed just like that. July and the other 3 also came to the training ground and started pre-exam training, Chapter 30. There are 5 days left before the exam, and I want to improve within these 5 days. Not to say it is impossible, but it is very difficult for Sasuke and Naruto. Sasuke wanted to pay, but was rejected by July. Although he promised to train with them. But July was also confused about how to improve their strength. Her advantage over the 2 of them is nothing more than that she is a time traveler, and she has a lot of knowledge from her ES life in her mind. But there are some things that she cannot expose. I can study quietly behind closed doors, but others can't. Now I can only teach them some scientific training and fitness techniques from my ES life. Improve their physical fitness. The essence of this world is chakra. And chakra is a combination of physical energy and spiritual energy. At the age of 12, the body is still in the development stage. Most of the body energy is for development. If the body energy is overexploited during this period, that will definitely lay hidden dangers for the future, because body energy is not only about physical development and the synthesis and extraction of chakra. It also concerns the mysterious topic of lifespan. But it is true that body energy actually corresponds to what was called cytology in the ES life. In a person's life, the number of times a cell can divide is limited. If you stimulate the cells in advance and let the cells divide all the time, then this person will obviously age faster than others, and of course his life will end early. What she can do now is to improve the physical fitness of the 2 as much as possible. Let the 2 bodies lay a good foundation so that they can store more energy in the future. While July is guiding the 2 of them, he is also improving his own research. There is no doubt that there are still many defects in his offensive system at this stage. But now all he can do is to continuously improve the means he has and integrate them into his offensive system. Make it more perfect, and the missing parts can only be worked on slowly later. 5 days passed quickly. Although Naruto and Sasuke did not increase their decisive offensive means. But under July's guidance, both the refinement of chakra and the control of chakra have made considerable progress. An interesting thing happened during the training. That day, the three of them dispersed and went home. But on the way home, the three were attacked by strange ninjas. After 4 or 5 minutes of fierce fighting, the strange ninjas failed to attack. Finally, they escaped. The three of them told their experiences of being attacked in unison. After a discussion, there was no conclusion, so they gave up. Today is the day when the exam begins, and the three of them are ready to go. Set off for the school they have been away from for several months. At the door of a classroom on the 2nd floor, many ninjas whose names I can't remember gathered. One of the boys with a watermelon head was lying on the ground, and a girl with a bun was arguing loudly with the 2 ninjas at the door. There was a loud bang in the sky, and Class 7 made a brilliant appearance. Sasuke stood in the middle familiarly, Naruto on the left, and July on the right. When they came, July had already explained that Sasuke and Naruto should be low-key and hide their strength a little. Especially Naruto, July gave him a lot of instructions. But when they really got there, she couldn't stop him. All the things she said before were completely forgotten. One turned into a cool guy, the other turned into a conspicuous bag. Sasuke walked to the front and looked at the 2 ninjas guarding the door. "Excuse me, please make way. Time is almost up, we have to go to the 3rd floor." As soon as Sasuke said this, passers-by around him all exclaimed. "Ah! What does he mean? This is obviously the 3rd floor." July, who was hiding in the crowd, covered her eyes helplessly, and to her was the people from Team 8. She was too embarrassed to admit that they were his teammates. Except for a few real extras, how many people present didn't realize that this was the 2nd floor? The reason why they didn't stand out was because they were disturbed by this watermelon-headed guy. They were also happy to watch the show, anyway, there was still enough time for the time being. But their teammates turned into cool and pretentious demons, and they had to stand out to steal the show. "Sakura, don't you feel goosebumps all over the floor?" Sakura to July had already become a fangirl, and didn't listen to July's question at all. She was calling Sasuke's name. Hinata from Team 8 never took her eyes off Naruto. Kiba and Shino smiled bitterly at July, and they both understood July's feelings now. The 2 people at the door saw that their tricks were discovered, and they had no choice but to cancel the illusion. The people around saw that there was no excitement to watch, so they ran upstairs to gather. July looked at the watermelon rind in front of him, and the more he looked, the more he felt looks familiar. It seems like she had seen this person when she was training in the forest when she was a child. She remembered that there was a big watermelon rind to this little watermelon rind. Because the characteristics of the 2 people are too obvious, watermelon rind hairstyle, thick eyebrows. And they kept shouting strange slogans. They even rushed to her and invited her to practice with them. So July left a deep impression. It turned out that he was also a ninja. July was still reminiscing. But the watermelon rind rushed to Sakura at lightning speed, stretched out his hand and bent down in one go. "Hello beautiful Sakura, my name is Rock Lee. Please date me, I swear, I will protect your smile with my whole life." A lot of people fell down around him instantly. Sakura was already petrified at this time, if you ignore Rock Lee's hairstyle and thick eyebrows. There was nothing wrong with Rock Lee's confession just now, but who is Sakura? A complete fangirl, a loyal female fan of Sasuke. Sakura, who had reacted, quickly hid behind Sasuke. "Sasuke-kun, help me. I don't even know him." Before Sasuke had any reaction, Naruto was not going to do it. If Sakura was a die-hard fan of Sasuke, then Naruto was a dog who licked Sakura's hand. He slapped Lee's hand away. "Who are you? How dare you like Sakura? I'm telling you, Sakura is mine. No one can take it away." But Lee ignored Naruto and looked straight at Sasuke. "Are you Uchiha Sasuke? I've always wanted to fight a genius like you." After that, he made a gesture to invite a fight. At this time, the girl with a bun behind Lee and a boy with long hair and white pupils stood up to stop Lee. Okay, Lee, the exam hasn't started yet, there will be plenty of opportunities later. Didn't I tell you to hide your strength? And little Chiyue, do you think I can't see you just because you're hiding behind me? Yes, the one who spoke was the girl with a bun, Tian Tian. Sister Tian Tian, are you guys here to take part in the Chunin exam as well? You've graduated a long time ago. Is this your teammate? Chiyue smiled and stood up to greet Tian Tian. She and Tian Tian have known each other for a long time, and Tiantian's family is the largest ninja tool shop in Konoha. When her 100 Transformers armament hadn't been fully contracted, many of her weapons were customized from her family. So the two of them were familiar with each other, but Chiyue really couldn't compliment Tian Tian. This guy would take advantage of her every time he saw her when he was a child. Chiyue once thought that Tian Tian was actually a nymphomaniac. She was so scared that she asked someone to go to Tiantian's house to customize weapons for a long time. Tian Tian enthusiastically introduced her teammates to Chiyue. Let's not talk about this, Rock Lee, he's a fool. His name is Hyuga Niji, he's a genius. He was the top student of our class. Turning around, he introduced July to Niji and Lee. Shun to July, I would like to call her the most beautiful female ninja in Konoha besides Tsunade-sama. And she's a little rich. For example, the bobo chicken that you guys like to eat is her property. And her weapon strength. Tian Tian was interrupted by July before she finished her words. Sister Tian Tian, it's getting late, let's go up early. Don't be late. Tian Tian realized that she seemed to have said too much. She nodded to July embarrassedly. Some things can be discussed with teammates in private, there are still many ninjas around Chapter 31. In order to get rid of Lee's entanglement, Sakura pulled the other members of Team 8 and ran up. Lee seemed to be stubborn, although he was stopped by Tenten just now. But the idea of fighting Uchiha Sasuke was not extinguished. However, Niji and Tenten did not notice Lee's expression. So they also went up. Originally, Sasuke wanted to follow, but was stopped by Lee. Let's stop at a certain point, otherwise my passionate youth will not allow me to escape from the battlefield. July looked at Lee speechlessly, she really couldn't understand Lee's idea. What does fighting have to do with youth? Oh, do you still need me to be responsible for your youth? If I don't fight with you, you will escape from the battlefield. July is now particularly glad that she refused to practice with him before. Sasuke may be annoyed by Lee's provocation. Since you are so eager to get beaten, I will grant you your wish. After saying that, he ignored July and Naruto and followed Xiaoli to an empty classroom door. July had no choice but to follow them. It had nothing to do with her whether they failed or not. She was mainly afraid that the two of them would get too excited and could not stop fighting. At a young age, it was normal for them to get too excited while fighting. The assessment was about to start, and she didn't want to take an injured teammate to the exam. As soon as they entered the room, the two of them had already started fighting. You punched and I kicked, and it was so joyful. But July soon found something wrong. Xiao Li's speed and strength were actually good. It was just that his movements were a little awkward. In July's opinion, with Li's speed just now, there were many opportunities to hit Sasuke. But because of the slight deformation of the movement, Sasuke, who opened the Sharingan, narrowly avoided it. In fact, the one who felt the most was Sasuke in the field. At the beginning, he didn't take Xiao Li seriously. But as Xiao Li's attacks gradually accelerated, he slowly couldn't keep up. It was okay to lose to July in physical skills, but losing to an unknown guy. Sasuke couldn't accept it, and finally he opened the Sharingan. But although he could see the movements clearly with the Sharingan, his body couldn't keep up. In fact, he was ready to take some attacks. But Xiao Li's slight deformation of his movements made the attack not smooth. He was discovered by the Sharingan and barely dodged it. After slowly adapting to the speed of the Sharingan and Xiao Li, Sasuke seized the opportunity to kick Xiao Li away. Xiao Li adjusted his body shape in midair and landed steadily, and began to slowly untie the bandages on his hands. Both of them were obviously a little angry, and Sasuke released the seals with both hands, which was a fire escape ninjutsu at a glance. The bandage that Xiao Li had just untied obviously had a backup plan. Just as the two were about to launch an attack, a turtle wearing a Konoha forehead protector fell from the sky. Lee, this is not a move used on your companions. You are too impulsive. To punish you, after the exam, you will run 500 laps around Konoha. Xiaoli became very obedient and stood up straight. Yes, Teacher Kai. Naruto pointed at the turtle and said, "Can this turtle talk?" And did the one with thick eyebrows just call him teacher? Naruto's words were obviously a bit impolite. Chiyue was just about to popularize the bond between humans and animals with him. A green figure stood on the turtle. Hey, the little guys on the opposite side. Are you Kakashi's disciples? Not bad, very energetic. How about it, do you want to have a passionate training afterwards? It is obvious that the teacher Kai that Xiaoli mentioned should be the guy in front of him. Naruto and Sasuke were stunned by the outfit of the figure in front of them. He had the same hairstyle as Xiaoli, but his eyebrows were different. He was also wearing a green tights, but the upper body was wearing a vest. Chiyue thought to herself, sure enough, they were all together. They were two different sizes before. Do you know our teacher? Naruto always had infinite curiosity about new people and things. Of course, Kakashi is my lifelong opponent. By the way, the score was 50-49. I was leading. Sasuke saw that there was no need to fight anymore, so he snorted and left directly. Chiyue hurried forward and grabbed Naruto, who was still trying to ask for details. Sorry, Mr. Kai, the gathering time is almost here. We are going up. When we see Mr. Kakashi, I will say hello to him for you. Goodbye. After saying that, he dragged Naruto away regardless of Naruto's resistance. Kai felt that the girl looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen her. He could only turn around and instruct Xiaoli. Lee, there is nothing wrong with sparring with others, but you can't use dangerous moves on your friends in the village. Those are used to protect your friends, remember that, Lee. Okay, youth cannot be slack, go, and surprise everyone in this selection. Xiaoli was excited with tears in his eyes, and then he followed upstairs. July and others should be the last to arrive in the classroom, and Sasuke opened the door. Everyone in the classroom looked over. Xiaosha was afraid that July would turn into an ostrich and quickly ran to Shikamaru and the others. Ino couldn't wait to jump on Sasuke's back. Asked why he came so late. Sakura rushed over the moment Ino jumped on Sasuke's back. Sasuke threw Ino off speechlessly. After whispering that he was bored, he stood behind July. In this way, the new genin of this session was assembled. They were all acquaintances, and the scene was a little noisy. July was chatting with Shikamaru. At this time, an older young man wearing glasses came over to dissuade Naruto and the others from making noise. This is your first time to participate in the Chunin exam, and you may not understand some of the rules. We are the host, so don't become everyone's target. I have participated in 7 sessions, and there are many ninjas who have participated in multiple sessions like me. Shikamaru was thoughtful, and July was too lazy to think. My name is Kabuto Yakushi, and my usual hobby is to collect intelligence. We are all ninjas in Konoha. If you want intelligence on others, you can find me. Sasuke was the first to disbelieve, and pointed at July. Do you have her intelligence information? Kabuto Yakushi looked at July, and then took out a pile of cards from his bag. He quickly searched through them and pulled out one. Then he showed it to everyone. This is a shinobi card, and the information is recorded in it through Chakra. Except for my Chakra, no one can see the content inside. As he injected Chakra, the card began to rotate. With a bang. Various information about July appeared on the card. Shen 2 July, the strongest in theory this year. 15 D-level missions, 1 C-level mission. His performance in physical skills, ninjutsu, and illusion is mediocre, and the Jonin is known to be Hitaki Kakashi. There are Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto in the team. Yakushi Kabuto told everyone one by one according to the information he collected. For others who don't know July's strength, this information is very detailed. Even the number of missions is counted. But Naruto and Sasuke are not interested in this information. Sasuke asked 2 more people, Rock Lee and Gaara. Yakushi Kabuto showed the information one by one. Especially the information about Gaara, who completed the B-level mission alone and returned safely. Kabuto Yakushi explained the origin and hidden purpose of the Chunin exam to the 9 of them in detail. Except for Naruto, all of the 9 people were secretly alert. But at this time, Naruto didn't know what was wrong with him, and suddenly shouted. He attracted everyone's attention again, and then pointed his finger at the ninjas around him. I am Uzumaki Naruto, I will not lose to you. Do you understand? Ino jumped to July's side. What is that guy doing? Why is he provoking everyone? July spread his hands. He is a fool. How can I know what a fool thinks? Before everyone burst into anger, the examiner came. Under the pressure of the examiner, they could only keep this account in their hearts. Hello everyone, I am the chief examiner of the first exam of this exam, Ibiki Marino. Okay, losers, find a place to sit. The first exam has begun. Chapter 32. Ibiki led all the examiners to the podium and began to explain the rules of the written test. Each person's starting score was 10 points. There were 10 questions in the test, and 1 point was deducted for each wrong answer. The 10th question was not on the test paper, but was announced 45 minutes after the test began. Then there was no cheating in the test. If you were caught cheating, you would be deducted 2 points. If the test score was 0, not only the individual would be eliminated. The entire team would be eliminated. After the test rules were introduced, the seats between the teams were all arranged in a disrupted order. When the test papers were handed out, Sasuke felt bad. It was not because the test paper was too difficult, but because he heard the principle of elimination with 0 points just now. There was a fool in his team. Written tests were originally Naruto's weak point, and the difficulty of the entire test paper was also considered. He couldn't even answer some of the questions himself, let alone that idiot. Suddenly, Sasuke had a flash of inspiration. He carefully recalled what Ibiki had just said. He seemed to understand the real purpose of this exam. This was not a simple academic test, but a test of everyone's disguise and concealment. It was a test of how to collect intelligence without being discovered. But now he was in trouble again, and he had figured it out. He believed that July must also understand the meaning, but could the idiot Naruto in the team really hear the true meaning of the rules? He couldn't help but look at July, but July just made a simple gesture. Sasuke was confused. Now he couldn't care about Naruto, and looked carefully at the people around him. Since the test was about intelligence collection, there must be intelligence personnel who knew the answer in the field. After confirming the candidate, Sasuke opened the Sharingan that had evolved to 2 Magatama. Imitated all the actions of that person. The test paper was soon filled with answers. Speaking of Naruto, after Ibiki introduced the rules, there would be no one more nervous than him in the whole classroom. He knew very well what level he was at. If he got 0 points and implicated Sasuke and Nanagi, he might feel guilty for the rest of his life. He regretted why he didn't study hard in class. Just when he was overwhelmed with emotions and at a loss, he felt someone pushing his arm. Naruto turned around and saw that it was Hinata. His distorted face suddenly opened up. Naruto-kun, I'll show you my answer. Hinata's face was red, and after she whispered, she pushed the test paper from under her arm towards Naruto. Hinata, I ask you, why did you help me? After Naruto finished speaking, Hinata's face became even redder. I don't want Naruto to be eliminated here. As she said that, she pushed the test paper back towards Naruto. Just when Naruto was about to see Hinata's test paper, a kunai flew across Naruto's face and nailed directly onto the table of the person to him. Exam number 9527, you cheated more than 5 times, eliminated. Exam candidates in the same team, eliminated. The person who was caught was very dissatisfied, and stood up and shouted to provide evidence of cheating. But before he could finish his words, he was pushed against the wall by the examiner with bandages on his head and eyes. Let me tell you, my eyes are the evidence. July couldn't help laughing when she saw this scene. You have to know that she has been professionally trained and usually doesn't laugh. Unless she can't help it. The examiner's dress is no different from a blind person. He grabbed you and said to you, "Brother, I see your face is black." Funny and funny. But the scene just now seemed funny to July. But on Naruto's side, he was not in the mood to laugh. More and more people were eliminated for cheating on the field. Naruto didn't want to hurt Hinata because of his cheating. Decisively rejected Hinata's kindness and sat alone in his seat. The tense atmosphere continued, and everyone started to cheat with their own unique skills. Sasuke, Sharingan copied like crazy. Neji opened his Byakugan, and the perspective and telescope made him look so comfortable. Gaara condensed an eyeball with sand, connected it to his optic nerve to peek and cheat. Yi cooperated with the puppy on his head, and Shino used insects to collect the answers. Tenten held a steel wire in his hand to remotely control the mirrors on his head and passed the answers to Shaoli. Ino used the heart-turning technique to turn into Sakura's body, and after memorizing the answers, she used the effect of the technique to tell Shikamaru and Choji. It stands to reason that July was the top student in their class, so why didn't Ino turn her? That was during the Iya school ninja sparring. She used the heart-turning technique on July, but it had no effect at all. The technique bounced back, which made her weak and headache for several days. Afterwards, she asked the elders at home, and the answer she got was that July's mental power was different from that of ordinary people. Don't use the heart turn on her easily in the future, so she changed her target to Sakura, who is also a top student. 8 immortals crossing the sea, each showing their magical powers. Only our July, like a salted fish, lay on the table and looked around. July found the loophole in the rules at the first time, but as a top student, she looked at the questions. Disdain to associate with those who cheat. Is it worth cheating on questions of this difficulty? Picked up the pen and wrote quickly. Less than 10 minutes after the start, she had answered all the questions. Then she observed other people's cheating methods like a salted fish. She had a way to pass the answers to Sasuke and Naruto. She did the same. Sasuke was surprised to see the virtual test paper in front of him. Looking at the name on it, he knew that July was helping him. He looked at his own test paper and compared it with July's answer. He looked at Naruto in front of him, but Naruto didn't know what was wrong with him. He was indifferent to the answer that July had already fed him. He just lay on the seat blankly, without any desire to answer the questions. As time went by, 40 minutes had passed. In the last 20 minutes, Naruto still didn't do a single question. Ibiki saw that the time was almost up and announced the last question. Okay, the one is the 10th question. You can choose to accept or not accept the 10th question. If you don't accept it, you will be eliminated with 0 points. If you accept it but get it wrong, then you will never be qualified to be promoted to Chunin in the future. Ibiki added the words just now with a ferocious and serious face. The whole examination room was plunged into unparalleled pressure. Originally, there were only a few candidates left in the examination room, and they could not bear the pressure. They chose to quit directly. Naruto, as a nervous person, slowly raised his right hand. Sasuke looked at Naruto in despair, and when July was about to stand up and leave, Naruto slapped the table with a loud sound that attracted the attention of everyone in the examination room. July covered her face and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Is this the same again? Don't underestimate me, Uzumaki Naruto. I will never run away from the battlefield. Even if I am only a ninja for my whole life, I will become a Hokage. I will never give up. The brainless and passionate speech instantly destroyed the high-pressure environment created by Ibiki. Ibiki saw that the remaining candidates' eyes gradually became firm because of Naruto's speech. He knew in his heart that it was almost time, and there was no point in continuing. Then he announced that everyone had passed the first exam. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief after hearing the news. Naruto didn't expect that he passed the test without doing any questions, and he jumped up excitedly. Then he turned around and gave a thumbs up to July and Sasuke. Suddenly the glass shattered, and a huge curtain covered Ibiki on the podium. It was written on the cloth that the examiner of the second selection exam was Mitarashi Anko. A woman dressed similarly to the girl from the sand village stood in front of the curtain. But she was more sexy, with the same fishnet-like lining all over her body. She wore a short skirt with a beige windbreaker, which covered most of her spring light. She stood on the table of the podium carelessly. Ibiki, what's going on? Why are there so many people left? In that case, let's reduce the number of people by half for the second exam. He started with a terrifying speech like a desert turban. Everyone, gather at the number 44 training ground. Chapter 33. The first exam was over, and Ibiki stayed in the classroom to collect the examinees' papers. Soon he received Naruto's paper. Ibiki looked at the blank paper in his hand in surprise. What an interesting little guy. How did he manage to not do any questions and still be so confident? Then he thought of the second test. His eyebrows were furrowed. I hope this little guy can pass the exam safely. Training ground number 44. The open space outside the fence was full of people. They were all examinees who passed the first exam. Take a closer look at the identities of these people. They are everywhere from all over the world. Almost every ninja village has one or two teams. But in the end, Konoha still has more people. 3 classes of new genin, Kabuto Yakushi, and Tenten's team. There are also some unnamed extra classes. The sun is scorching, but July won't stand there stupidly in the sun anyway. Climb up the tree early and lie on the thick branches. Naruto and Sasuke stood under the tree like bodyguards, leaning against the tree, chatting with July above. Oh, seeing the death forest is like returning home. You guys say, can I go home first when the exam comes later? If nothing else, at least eat something. When it comes to food, the stomachs of the 2 people under the tree growl unconsciously. The exam is continuous, and the food eaten in the morning has long been digested. Now I haven't eaten lunch yet, but I was called here to gather. It's natural to be hungry. The relaxed atmosphere between the 3 people seems out of place with the surroundings. The others stood there a little nervously waiting for the examiner to announce the rules of the second exam. And Hondo, at the right time, led a few examiners to appear. Naruto and Sasuke hurried forward. July stayed on the branch, anyway, it was not far away. The sun was so bright outside, and there were so many people around. Why are we going to go down and squeeze in and make dumplings? Let me introduce myself again. I am the examiner of the second round, Mitarashi Anko. I like sweets. You will undergo 5 days of wilderness survival training. However, this is not a simple survival training. You need to fight for the Book of Heaven and Earth in this huge circular training ground with a radius of 10 kilometers. There are 26 teams that passed the first round of the assessment. Half of the teams hold the Book of Heaven and the other half hold the Book of Earth. There are 44 entrances to the entire training ground. After the exam begins, all teams will set off at the same time. Sasuke was the first to ask about the conditions for passing the level, and Anko took out the scroll and unfolded it. There is a high tower in the center of the training ground. As long as the 3 members of the team hold the scrolls of heaven and earth intact and reach the high tower in the center, they can do it. Of course, if a team member is injured and eliminated, or opens the Book of Heaven and Earth in advance, then I'm sorry, the whole team is eliminated. By the way, I want to tell you that this place is called the Death Forest. You will soon be able to experience it yourself. After listening to Hondo's last words, Naruto began his own journey of death. He imitated Hondo's tone of voice and repeated her words. Hondo immediately showed a dangerous smile. You little guy, you are really energetic. As she said that, Hondo threw a kunai, which scratched Naruto's cheek and bled. Then she instantly moved behind Naruto and stopped Naruto's neck. In addition to liking sweets, I like the taste of blood the most. Naruto was frightened by Hondo beside him. Suddenly, Hondo felt a murderous aura behind her, and another kunai appeared in her hand. Stabbed behind her, but before she turned around, a head wearing a bamboo hat landed on his shoulder. The man wearing the bamboo hat had a snake-like tongue in his mouth with a kunai. It was the one that Hondo had thrown just now. July couldn't lie there calmly at this moment. He didn't see the man's movements just now at all. Hondo's movements were fast enough, but she didn't expect the man in the bamboo hat to move even faster. He just blocked Hondo's position, so she couldn't attack. Hey, don't stand behind me with murderous intent. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. The man in the bamboo hat returned the kunai to Hondo. Examiner, I also like blood. Blood makes me excited. And you cut off my favorite hair, so I can't help it. The man in the bamboo hat licked his lips with a weird tongue after he finished speaking. Hondo let go of Naruto and turned around. Really? I'm really sorry. After speaking, Hondo returned to her original position, and the men in the bamboo hat turned around and joined his team. Okay, before we start, you need to sign a consent form. Then draw lots to decide your own starting point. Consent form. Everyone asked. The carefree Naruto didn't take what happened just now to heart, and asked what consent form was. Hondo explained to them the meaning of the consent form, which was simply a death disclaimer. Since it has come to this point, just sign it. After signing and drawing lots, the gate opened and all the ninjas ran to the forest. The second battle for the scroll of the Death Forest began. July and the other two jumped and moved quickly in the forest. Then she stopped the two with a gesture. Then she opened her spiritual eyes and carefully observed the surrounding environment. Naruto and Sasuke wondered why July suddenly stopped. You two come over here, I'll give you something. Then July left a flying thunder god mark on each of their hands. Naruto and Sasuke both looked at the strange marks on their hands. July, what is this? Such a beautiful pattern. My secret technique, don't ask me if there are more. And don't tell anyone else. Naruto and Sasuke definitely don't know what Flying Thunder God is. I temporarily marked them because the men in the bamboo hat at the door just now made her feel very dangerous. Very deadly and dangerous, even Gaara didn't make her feel so strong at the beginning. In case of emergency, I marked them with Flying Thunder God first. If I meet the men in the bamboo hat, can I run away if I can't beat him? Anyway, the location of the Death Forest in front of my house. There are several marks left by myself when I practiced. I'm not very familiar with the place where we came in. There are two choices now. The first is to explore. Find food and a safe shelter as soon as possible. Second, rush north and return to the area I am familiar with. I have seen the tower that Examiner Hondo mentioned before. Go back to where you are, at least you don't have to worry about food and Chapter 34. If the real purpose of the first exam is to test the intelligence gathering ability, then the second exam tests the comprehensive strength of a ninja. Not only do you need to collect intelligence and find the scrolls you need, but you also need to guard against the competition of others. The difficulty is greatly increased. Now July raises the first question. Let's see how they choose. Soon the three of them decided to take it slow and follow the normal process to take the exam. In fact, this is what July hopes for. Although he is very familiar with the forest that he often goes in and out of in front of his house. But he needs to cross the entire Death Forest. For the three of them, the road is full of uncertainty. And that place is also July's backup. In terms of the current position, if an accident occurs, flying over there will also leave him enough time to escape. After the three people discussed it, they began to look for traces of other teams. Gather the seal book as soon as possible and go to the central tower to avoid complications. Just as the three of them were moving forward rapidly, Naruto suddenly said that he wanted to pee. There was no other way, July and Sasuke could only wait there. After a while, Naruto came out, but Sasuke punched Naruto and sent him flying. July quickly summoned the Tang sword and looked at the Naruto who was sent flying with vigilance. Although Sasuke and Naruto always quarreled, at this critical moment, she believed that Sasuke would not attack Naruto for no reason. Soon July also found out something. Over there, Naruto climbed up and questioned Sasuke loudly. Sasuke snorted coldly. Your transformation technique is even worse than Naruto's. Where is the wound on your face? And your ninja tool bag is tied to your legs, but Naruto is right-handed. Where is the real Naruto? The fake Naruto saw that his transformation technique was discovered, so he lifted the transformation technique and revealed his true form. The guard should be from the Rain Village, and if the sneak attack failed, he would just attack directly. But he was no match for Sasuke and July, after several rounds of fighting. Sasuke stabbed him in the abdomen with a kunai. He didn't expect that he couldn't beat the two kids. He pushed Sasuke away, jumped onto a tree and prepared to escape. But how could July give him a chance? She had been waiting by the side. He ended the man's life with a knife, and the two separated to look for Naruto's trace. Suddenly, a scream came to July. She hurried to the direction where the sound came from. There are many beasts and poisonous insects in the Death Forest, which is very dangerous. Of course, there are also rich resources, especially rare medicinal materials. Southwest this place was circled by Konoha. At this time, a huge brown bear was chasing the little girl. Obviously, it was treating her as food. But the Death Forest was cleared early, and now all those who can be in it are candidates participating in the selection. Although this giant bear is scary, it shouldn't be chased away by a ninja, right? The situation in front of July, who heard the sound, was confused. The girl was tripped by something and fell to the ground. Seeing the giant bear's slap coming down and about to hit the girl, July rushed to take action. He kicked the giant bear away with one foot, and then inserted the tang sword into the giant bear's eye socket. He rotated the blade several times until the giant bear stopped struggling, and then pulled the sword out. July's neat fighting posture was seen by the red-haired girl who fell. She admired her for a moment, and she was thinking if she could be as strong and handsome as this girl. July didn't know what she was thinking. Anyway, she had already rescued him. She decided to go find Naruto first, and waved her hand as a greeting. Then she embarked on a journey to find someone. Sasuke first found the tied Naruto, and after carefully observing and confirming that it was Naruto, he untied him. Inject chakra into the mark as agreed at the beginning. Then, waiting in place, July noticed the difference in the Flying Thunder God mark. Sensing that the mark was not far from him, he did not use Flying Thunder God directly. If he could not be exposed, he would not be exposed, but it was because of this idea. Naruto and Sasuke fell into a huge crisis. The two people who were resting in place and waiting for July to join up were suddenly attacked by the men in the bamboo hat at the door. He arrogantly took off his bamboo hat and stood there. You want my Book of Earth, right? After all, what you have in your hands is the Book of Heaven. As he said that, he stuffed the scroll of the Book of Earth in his hand into his mouth and swallowed it. Then let's start, the battle for the scroll, fight for your life. After saying that, the murderous aura in the sky was released, and the men in the bamboo hat just gave a look. Sasuke and Naruto were stunned in place, and the idea of being slaughtered automatically appeared in their minds. A strong sense of fear lingered in the hearts of the two people, and Sasuke, who had the Sharingan, woke up first. He understood that this was caused by the opponent's substantial murderous aura. But even though he understood it, he didn't even have the strength to move now. He looked at Naruto to him, and his situation was the same as his. No, now they can only find a way to escape first, but the pure murderous aura made them think of the picture of death. If they stay any longer, they may really die. The man in the bamboo hat walked forward slowly, holding two kunai in his hand. Don't worry, I won't let you feel pain, it's just a matter of a moment. Sasuke wanted to inject chakra into the mark to notify July. But because of the influence of the murderous aura, he couldn't mobilize any chakra now. He watched the men in the bamboo hat walk towards them step by step. Sasuke tried to control his right hand and took out a kunai from the ninja tool bag. He gritted his teeth and stabbed his thigh. With the pain, he regained his mobility, picked up Naruto and ran away. The man in the bamboo hat watched this scene with interest and did not stop him. He was very satisfied that Sasuke could have such a reaction, using the pain for a moment to get rid of the influence of murderous aura. Very good. Outside the Death Forest, Hondo was listening to the report of his subordinates. It was said that 3 faceless bodies were found outside the Death Forest. Hondo hurriedly took everyone to check the situation. When she arrived at the scene, Hondo took a look at the bodies. The whole person fell into panic and hurriedly asked his subordinates to notify the Hokage. Go and report to the Hokage, the S-level rebel Orochimaru has sneaked into the Chunin exam. I will take people into the examination room first to ensure the safety of the candidates. After that, he took a few people and went straight into the Death Forest. July, who was traveling leisurely, seemed to have a premonition of something happening. Because she just found that Sasuke's spatial position was moving rapidly. Not daring to delay, she quickly used Flying Thunder God to fly to Sasuke. It can only be said that it is better to arrive at the right time than to arrive early. As soon as she teleported over, she saw that the neck of the man in the bamboo hat was strangely stretched, and his head was about to touch Sasuke's neck. Without thinking too much, July cut off his neck with a knife. The head, which lost its power, fell to July's feet. The man in the bamboo hat was not so easy to kill. His body tied to the tree by steel wire kept squirming. Then his chest broke open, and the men in the bamboo hat covered with mucus came out intact. July saw this scene, and his san value dropped by 999. He pulled Sasuke up and used Flying Thunder God to come to Naruto's side, squatted down and put his hands behind Naruto who had fallen into a coma. He used Flying Thunder God again and disappeared in front of the men in the bamboo hat. Chapter 35. The sudden change in the environment did not attract Sasuke's attention. He had already prepared to die just now. Fortunately, July appeared in time. The men in the bamboo hat was too strong, and the East battle was entirely because he was not serious. Otherwise, he might not even be qualified to fight. In the end, he still needed someone else's rescue to save his life. Sasuke angrily punched the ground. July looked at Sasuke with a livid face and Naruto who was unconscious to him. Fortunately, she had left a backup plan. But she took the two of them to perform Flying Thunder God and fly such a long distance. She is now extremely weak. Her rapid breathing and sweat have soaked her clothes. After that, her eyes went black and she knew nothing. Bang reverse tilde. The sound of July falling interrupted Sasuke's self-PUA. Sasuke hurried forward to check on July's situation, and found that July's face was very pale. Sasuke quickly calmed down and began to look at the surrounding environment. Now their team has completely lost its combat effectiveness. The top priority is to find a safe place first. Soon, Sasuke found a tree hole that looked relatively hidden. He quickly helped July and Naruto in. Then he used the branches and plants that could be seen everywhere around to camouflage the tree hole again. He also laid a wire trap by the way, so that he had time to sit down and rest. Sasuke, who had just experienced a life-and-death battle, was now very tired. But now he didn't dare to sleep at all, and could only force himself to be alert and stare at the outside. It was the third day of the exam when July woke up again. Although the chakra had recovered a little, he still couldn't use any strength in his body. She sat up weakly and looked around. Naruto was lying beside her, and Sasuke was leaning against the tree hole with his eyes closed. After a long coma without eating, her body was awake now. Her stomach started to growl, but she didn't wake up Sasuke who was asleep right away. She looked exhausted. She took out a special soldier pill from her bag, then crossed her legs and began to refine her chakra. No matter how long she had been unconscious, it was always right to restore her chakra first. 2 hours later, July's chakra was fully restored. She quietly walked to the cave entrance and patted Sasuke. Sasuke woke up suddenly, holding a kunai in his hand and stabbing continuously. July blocked the kunai and signaled Sasuke to calm down. Only then did Sasuke see clearly that it was July in front of him. "Are you awake?" July nodded and handed Sasuke a soldier pill. "How long have I been unconscious?" Sasuke showed 3 fingers. July, who understood the situation, did not say much. "Go to sleep for a while. I will take care of the alert. You have worked hard these days." Sasuke did not refuse and found a comfortable place to lie down. He had hardly closed his eyes for 3 days and soon fell into a deep sleep. Jiue came to Naruto and carefully checked Naruto's condition. When he took Naruto away, he was already unconscious. Now that he was awake, why was he still unconscious? There were only some skin injuries on his body. Then the reason why he was unconscious all the time was either internal injuries or mental trauma. But the spirit eye did not have the function of perspective, and he did not know medical ninjutsu. There was no way to check whether Naruto was injured internally, but July had a way to check mentally. Putting his hand on Naruto's head, chakra was slowly injected. This method was actually discovered when I was researching and developing Mirror Flower and Water Moon. Use the phenomenon of chakra rejection resonance to check whether the spirit is injured. There is only one way to hurt the spirit, and that is illusion. The intuitive feeling is that the chakra flow in the brain of a person with mental injury will also be in chaos. But Naruto is fine, and there is no sign of mental injury. Is it really an internal injury? July always feels something is wrong. The battle at the bridge in Wave Country. Naruto's heartbeat and breathing stopped. But after a surge of red chakra, he recovered. Afterwards, she discussed this matter with Kakashi, and the final conclusion was that the red chakra was from the tailed beast in Naruto's body. The chakra of the tailed beast seems to have a healing effect. If it is really because of internal injuries, why didn't the Ninetales help with the treatment this time? Do the tailed beasts also have working hours? Are the tailed beasts on holiday today? Chiyue, who couldn't figure out the reason, could only give up and quietly walked out of the tree hole. Looking at the disguise outside the tree hole, she knew it might be because Sasuke was too anxious. There was not much time to set up, leaving a lot of loopholes. She set up again, even the enhanced mirror flowers and water moons were set up. A few more traps were set up under the wire trap left by Sasuke. Then she carefully explored the surrounding situation. She was familiar with the environment here, relying on her understanding of the terrain. She wanted to take this opportunity to see if she could grab a scroll back. Whether it was heaven or earth, if she grabbed the Book of Earth, everyone would be happy. It didn't matter if she grabbed the same Book of Heaven, at most she could exchange it with others. She didn't believe that everyone just happened to grab the scroll that their team needed. Why didn't they wait for Sasuke and Naruto to wake up together? July said that she was the strongest when she was alone. There was no need to look ahead and behind, afraid of exposing her means. As long as all the enemies were killed, there would be no risk. But the heavens didn't take care of July. July, who was moving forward carefully, suddenly felt a strong force coming from behind. She was unprepared and was blown away by this force. July, who landed in a mess, stood up quickly and looked behind him. The man in the bamboo hat was gradually revealing his entire body. Still with a terrifying look in his eyes and a disgusting tongue. "Little girl, where did you take Sasuke, who I miss so much?" The man in the bamboo hat seemed a little impatient and irritable at this time. July summoned the Tang sword and looked at the men in front of him vigilantly. "You are a man, and Sasuke is also a man. There will be no result between you two." In fact, July also wanted to fly away with the Thunder God, but now she was too close to the tree hole where she was hiding. The man in the bamboo hat was obviously targeting Sasuke. If she flew away, the man in the bamboo hat would search around. If he found the tree hole where she was hiding, the consequences would be disastrous. So she didn't dare to gamble. Now she had to find a way to lure the man in the bamboo hat away. Or she had to make as much noise as possible to attract the attention of the examiner outside. The naive July didn't know the identity of the man in the bamboo hat. If she knew, she wouldn't have such a naive idea. The battle was about to start, and she followed the principle of striking first. July rushed forward and drew the Tang sword in her hand. She stabbed continuously, so fast that even a phantom appeared. Now she dared not hold back, and every move was aimed at the vital parts of the man in the bamboo hat. The purpose of Orochimaru sneaking into the Chunin exam was to abduct Uchiha Sasuke. For this reason, although he was murderous in the East battle, he did not kill Sasuke, and his purpose was to test Sasuke. But now the little girl in front of him is better than Sasuke with the 2 Magatama Sharingan. He couldn't help but get interested, took out the kunai and started fighting with July. The figures of the two kept colliding, and the speed was so fast that it was no longer clear. The intensity of the battle can only be judged by the sound of metal collision. July has been using the treasure trove of knowledge to analyze Orochimaru's movements, and then change his weapons. Orochimaru also fought with such a person for the first time, and it really brought him a lot of trouble at the beginning. July's fighting style is too varied, the opening and closing of the spear, the simplicity and clarity of the Tang sword, the flexibility and changeability of the double swords, and the weirdness and dexterity of the dagger. All of these were demonstrated vividly by July. The battle between the two people is no longer a simple physical competition, it seems to have been sublimated to the level of art. Orochimaru's attacks are getting faster and faster, and his strength is getting stronger and stronger. He was amazed by the little girl in front of him, so he wanted to see July's limit. July also gradually began to become reluctant from being calm at the beginning. Although July has placed the man in the bamboo hat in a very high position, he still underestimated him. The man in the bamboo hat just slightly increased his speed and strength. It has become very difficult for me, but my arrangement has not been completed. Now I can only pray that the clone can act faster. But just when July was stunned, Orochimaru found an opportunity. He kicked July in the stomach, causing her to lose balance. The instant body technique came behind her, and his hand was placed on July's shoulder. July secretly cried out that it was not good, and hurriedly wanted to fly away with the Thunder God. But the strange thing was that she could not mobilize her chakra. Orochimaru seemed to guess what July was thinking. Give up, your chakra has been temporarily sealed by me. I didn't expect it, I just wanted to see Sasuke, but I didn't expect there would be a surprise. Little girl, can you tell me what your infinite weapon transformation technique is called? July was not too panicked at this time, although she was controlled by the men in the bamboo hat. But the clone was still there, and she still had a chance. Now she just had to delay time. Before asking others questions, can you introduce yourself first? You are definitely not the grass. Orochimaru also began to introduce himself after cherishing the talent. My name is Orochimaru, and I am a rebel ninja of Konoha. What about you, little girl? Hearing the name Orochimaru, Chiyue shouted MMP in her heart. Of course he had heard of Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas. Cold Lord Orochimaru, the disciple of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. He shone in the second and third battles, and he and his companions had fought against Hanzo, the half-god of the rain country. Therefore, he won the title of the three ninjas that resounded throughout the ninja world, and his strength far exceeded that of the elite Jonin. Some people speculate that the strength of the three ninjas has long reached the level of Kage. And the men in the bamboo hat in front of him turned out to be Orochimaru. What's the point of playing? Just surrender. It turned out to be Lord Orochimaru, one of the famous three ninjas. My name is Shinto Chiyue. The ninjutsu you asked about is just a simple trick. It is not worthy of your attention. Although he was respectful and gave up resistance. But he didn't want to sit and wait for death, so he urged his clone to make arrangements quickly. Chapter 36. Maybe it was out of confidence in his own strength. Although he knew that July was talking about something else, he didn't care. Anyway, the initiative was in his hands now. Little girl, it's useless to delay time. I can kill you in an instant. So, can you tell me where Sasuke is now? After saying that, Orochimaru pulled July's hair hard. July frowned in pain. Lord Orochimaru, although my life and death are in your hands. But I'm not the kind of person who betrays my companions casually. If it was the old Orochimaru, he wouldn't waste so much time talking to the little girl in front of him. Just torture her and kill her. But so many years of life on the run may have smoothed his edges. Or maybe it was because of the surprise that July brought to him. He didn't take action immediately, but tried to bring July under his command. Little girl, don't limit your horizons to Konoha, the ninja world is huge. You are quite capable, are you interested in joining me? I will show you a whole new ninja world. Chiyue grew up under the red flag, and Orochimaru's brainwashing tricks. She feels even worse than Sarutobi Hiruzen. What does it mean that the ninja world is huge? I will show you. You can't use such brainless words to insult the intelligence of a little girl. You are very strong, and the reputation of the three ninjas is also very great. But you don't even paint a big picture, let alone mention the benefits. He just asked you to follow him right away. How did he have such a mysterious confidence in his charm? He has never been rejected, right? A one-man talk show was staged in Chiyue's mind. But she didn't forget to stall for time, and dropped a bombshell right away. Lord Orochimaru, is your purpose in coming to Konoha really just for Sasuke? If it is really just for Sasuke, with your strength, you can take him away without anyone noticing. You should have a bigger plan, right? Sasuke is one of the goals, but it should not be the most important goal. Let me guess, an S-level rebel ninja wanted by the village sneaked into Konoha with great fanfare. And Konoha is in the most chaotic time now, what do you want to do in the chaos? Chiyue directly said all her speculations in one breath. Orochimaru may really be targeting Sasuke, but he is definitely not the only one. As I said just now, with his strength, he can take him away anytime and anywhere. But Orochimaru suppressed his strength to test Sasuke, and tricked her into following him. There was no intention of forcibly taking him away, as if he was just showing his face. So, she speculated that Orochimaru must want to take advantage of the chaos in Konoha. Want to take the opportunity to do something. Orochimaru looked at the little girl in his hand in surprise. He didn't expect that this little girl was not only strong, but also had amazing wisdom. From just a few clues, he could deduce so many conclusions. It was getting more and more interesting. Orochimaru didn't want to talk nonsense now, he didn't have much time to waste. He stretched his neck and bit July's neck. Suddenly, the sharp teeth pierced the skin, and a violent chakra mixed with dense runes. It was directly injected into July's body, and in a blink of an eye, 3 tadpole-like symbols appeared where her neck was bitten. July didn't expect that Orochimaru was not a martial artist, and only talked but didn't do anything. She had no room to resist at all. This chakra was running wildly in her meridians, completely out of control. The severe pain almost destroyed July's consciousness. The chakra began to rush violently and rudely towards the meridians in her head. July didn't dare to let this chakra enter her brain. She quickly tightened her consciousness and burst out her spiritual energy to stop it. But as soon as the spiritual energy in her mind came into contact with this chakra, it instantly subdued it. She completely lost the domineering and violent energy just now. At this time, the arrangement of the clone was also completed. Sensing the special situation on the main body, she quickly performed Flying Thunder God and flew to the main body. Orochimaru was originally observing the situation of July's curse seal, and suddenly another July appeared. Then she disappeared in the blink of an eye. Orochimaru's pupils shrank suddenly, and the expression on his face began to gradually become fanatical. Flying Thunder God, the little girl just performed Flying Thunder God. The secret technique that I have studied for many years but have not been successfully practiced. Get her, I must get her. Orochimaru muttered without noticing the changes in the surrounding environment. July, who was taken away by the clone, became familiar with the chakra in her body in a few breaths. No time to detail experience, quickly launched the ninjutsu. The 6 corners of the forest surrounding Orochimaru began to emit dazzling light. In the blink of an eye, a hexagram magic circle was formed. The magic circle formed a circular barrier, which was soaring into the sky. Orochimaru, who was in the center of the magic circle, was firmly controlled in place and could not move. Not far away, July slowly injected chakra into the longbow. The longbow changed its shape instantly and turned into a 5-meter-long giant bow. A pair of black wings condensed on both sides of the bow tip, which looked like a phoenix spreading its wings and soaring from a distance. July pulled the bowstring tightly, and 5 circles of different colors began to condense in front of the giant bow. This form of attack was the first time July used it. It was unstable and consumed a huge amount of chakra. When the last yellow circle was condensed, July released the bowstring, and the arrow passed through the 5 circles. The arrowhead exuded colorful colors, and the length reached 3 meters. In an instant, it hit Orochimaru, who was standing still, causing a violent explosion. July didn't know if he had seen it wrong. Orochimaru seemed to show a strange smile before the arrow exploded. The light of the hexagram array and the sound of the explosion attracted the attention of Red Bean in the forest early on. Kakashi was also in Red Bean's team, and they hurriedly ran towards the location where the light came from. A few minutes later, they arrived at the scene. What came into view was a huge deep pit with a radius of more than 10 meters and a white figure not far from the deep pit. Kakashi looked at the familiar figure and quickly moved over. July, what happened here? July, who was weak, saw that the person who came was Kakashi, so he relaxed his vigilance. He sat on the ground without any image. Orochimaru was here just now. There were no extra words, no extra explanations. The 3 words Orochimaru were enough. Red Bean also came over at this time, and Kakashi winked at him. Knowing what he meant, Red Bean quickly led others to search the surroundings. Kakashi helped July up. Where are Naruto and Sasuke? Seeing you like this, if it doesn't work, just give up, I can explain to the Hokage. July quickly stopped Kakashi. Don't worry, Teacher Kakashi, I just consumed too much chakra. It will be fine after a while. Are you here to find Orochimaru? Kakashi nodded. Yes, 3 bodies with strangely disappeared faces were found outside. Red Bean reported that this was Orochimaru's method. Many nobles from various countries came to watch the Chunin exam, in order not to cause panic. Hokage asked us to act according to circumstances. Chapter 37. July sorted out her thoughts and motioned Kakashi to come forward. Kakashi quickly came over. Teacher Kakashi, Orochimaru has a strange substitution technique. How to describe it? It's like a snake shedding its skin. After shedding its skin, his injuries will disappear. Orochimaru was tentatively fighting with her throughout the whole process, and he didn't even use ninjutsu. So July didn't know much information. The only thing worth noting was the strange shedding of skin. Konoha had been wanted for so long, and he should know more than she did. She didn't need to worry about the rest. After a short rest, July rejected Kakashi's suggestion to escort her. She returned to the tree hole where she was hiding. She carefully patrolled the surroundings and found no signs of being followed. She quickly opened the barrier and got in. In the tree hole, Sasuke and Naruto had already woken up. The two saw the ragged July and hurried forward to ask about the situation. July lied and said that she accidentally fell into someone else's trap. Now both of them woke up, and July asked about the details of their battle with Orochimaru. Sasuke mentioned that Orochimaru had sealed Naruto. July then vaguely understood why Naruto had been unconscious before. She briefly introduced the current situation. Now it is still 7 or 8 kilometers away from the central tower. And they are still missing the Book of Earth, and the exam is already coming to an end. There are only 2 days left before the end. Those who can be eliminated have basically been eliminated, and those who remain are basically stronger teams. Excluding those who have already completed the assessment. Now their top priority is to collect the Book of Heaven and Earth. There is no time for them to search for intelligence and guess the scroll. Now there is only one way: rush. Go directly to the central tower and wait, and solve one team after another until the scroll is collected. Naruto agreed with this proposal with both hands and feet. He likes things that don't require thinking. Since the decision has been made, the three of them will not delay any longer. They didn't care if there were any ambushes along the way. They rushed straight to the central tower. A short distance of 7 or 8 kilometers was just 1 or 2 hours for July, who had no scruples. The main reason was that the environment in the forest was complicated, which affected their speed. Originally, July thought that among the graduating rookie team, there might be only 3 of them who had not completed the assessment. But she overestimated them. Look, they were stopped by the 10th team while they were rushing. After asking about the situation, they found that the 10th team didn't dare to snatch the scroll from others along the way. They hid and walked here carefully all the way. Hey, Shikamaru, you guys are too lame, aren't you? Don't say you are my Naruto's friend when you go out. Shikamaru didn't take Naruto's words to heart at all. Battles are too much trouble. We just need to pass the exams. Now, I meet your combat team. We can cooperate and get what we need. July agreed to Shikamaru's suggestion, and Naruto's objection was useless. Because Sasuke had already made him speechless. Ino stayed beside Sasuke happily, chattering non-stop. July stretched out his evil little hand to Choji. Please, the exam has been 3 days, either fighting or unconscious. I didn't eat anything during the whole process, and I survived by relying on the soldier's pills. Now I meet Choji, this rat, don't I have to pull him out? Naruto's stomach was also growling with hunger, and he followed suit and stretched out his hand to Choji. Choji smiled bitterly and touched his stomach. July, I don't have any food either. I ate all the food on the first day of the exam. July believed that Choji would not lie to her, and she had no choice. She could only go hunting with Sasuke. She now missed the giant bear she had killed. I heard that bear paws were delicious, but it was a pity that she had no way to store food, so it was all wasted. There wasn't much else in the Death Forest, but there were definitely a lot of animals. Apart from the poisonous things, she and Sasuke brought back a lot of food. They cooked it hastily and filled their stomachs. The 2 teams set off in a group. Finally, in the evening, they arrived in front of the central tower. July discussed a strategy with Shikamaru. The 3 people from Team 10 went out to attract the enemy, while the 3 people from July blocked the only way to the tower. The later the exam was, the more intense the competition became. Not long after that, Shikamaru and the other 2 attracted the team from the Rain Country. If it weren't fate, the passerby who was beheaded by July seemed to be from the Rain Country. The battle ended very quickly, although the teams that could hold on until now were very strong. But they were no match for 6 people. They quickly dealt with them and started to check their scrolls. The goddess of luck was not on July's side. The destroyed team had 2 scrolls. But they were all books of heaven, not books of earth. So Shikamaru and his team got the advantage. Perhaps because he felt embarrassed, Shikamaru suggested that they go out and lure another team. But July refused. They did not shy away from the battle at all, and there must be more people around them who wanted to intercept them. Knowing that the 2 teams had formed an alliance, it was completely meaningless to let Shikamaru and his team go out as bait. July held the extra scroll of heaven in the air. Everyone, I have an extra scroll of heaven. Those of you who have extra scrolls of earth can exchange. No matter how we fight, only 13 groups can pass the test. There will definitely be other test items. If you waste too much of your strength here, then the cheaper ones can only be competitors. That's all. If you want to trade, you can send a representative to exchange. After July finished speaking, he returned to the team and started cooking with Ino. In this wave of analysis, July firmly controlled the initiative. Why didn't she let Shikamaru and the others submit the Book of Heaven and Earth? In order to deter other teams around. Kabuto said before that the Chunin exam is not simply to promote someone to become a Chunin. The main purpose of the selection exam is to balance the number of ninjas in various countries. Konoha targets other countries, and other countries can also target Konoha. No matter how strong Konoha is, it is impossible for everyone to be strong. There are still cannon fodders, which can be regarded as an explanation to other countries. At the beginning, July and his team solved the battle at lightning speed. They showed their impressive strength, which gave them a hint. That is, if they want to defeat them, they should first examine their own strength in advance. Team up. July and his team are all ninjas from Konoha, and there will be no suspicion when they team up. But what about other teams? Many of them are not from the same country. Even if they team up, there will definitely be a lot of suspicion between each other. In order to avoid accidents, their safest way is to exchange scrolls with July. Shikamaru instantly understood the purpose of July's doing this, thinking to himself that he must stay away from her in the future. Otherwise, he will definitely be calculated. Chapter 38. The exchange was successful, and July quickly gathered all the scrolls. Since they had already gathered all the scrolls, there was no need to suffer in the wild. But before leaving, July told the people around him a bad news. Everyone, I have a piece of news for you before you leave. A volume of the Book of Earth was destroyed by a certain ninja. So if you haven't gathered all the Book of Earth yet, hurry up. There won't be 13 groups, only 12 groups. After saying that, he turned around and left, not daring to stay here. Now that there is one less volume of the Book of Earth, the battle will be very tragic. She was afraid that the battle would splash her blood. July here was very bad, and told them the news after the transaction was completed. But July didn't lie, but the volume of the Book of Earth was not destroyed, but was swallowed by the disgusting guy Orochimaru. She didn't think that Orochimaru would kindly give the volume of the Book of Earth to others. But thinking of Orochimaru's weird smile before, she felt uneasy. Orochimaru must not be dead, and she had a clear understanding of her own strength. That move seemed to be powerful and destructive. But it was just a beautiful appearance, and the move was not completed at all. I have to improve it when I go back. The 6 people submitted the scrolls and were arranged in a room to wait for the exam to be completed. But they didn't rest well for several days, and the chakra was over-refined, coupled with the rampage of Orochimaru's violent chakra. July's mental energy could not be suppressed at last. Reverse tilde. The severe pain came, and July, who was resting quietly in the last second, shouted directly. Naruto and Sasuke hurried over to check on July's situation. But July was in so much pain that she couldn't speak, and could only roll on the ground with convulsions all over her body. Naruto had to run out to seek help from the examiner. Sasuke found that black flame-like lines began to emerge on July's body. He hurriedly opened his Sharingan and found that the source of the lines seemed to be on his neck. He didn't care about the difference between men and women, and hurriedly lifted July's hair. 3 tadpole-like symbols were emitting strange red light. The door of the lounge opened, and Naruto actually walked in with Kakashi. Kakashi walked forward quickly and walked to July. Sasuke pointed at the mysterious symbol on July's neck. It seems that it is because of this thing that she is so painful. Kakashi also hurriedly lifted up his forehead protector, revealing the 3 Magatama Sharingan. Indeed, as Sasuke said, July's body is full of violent mysterious energy. Based on Kakashi's experience, this energy can no longer be called chakra. Teacher Kakashi, is July okay? She looks so painful. Naruto looked at July worriedly, and Kakashi gently touched Naruto's head. Don't worry, July will be fine. You should rest here and adjust your condition first. The exam will end the day after tomorrow. When that time comes, July will definitely return to the team intact. After comforting Naruto and Sasuke, they took July, who had fainted from the pain, away. After Kakashi left, Naruto looked at Sasuke again. Sasuke, what do you think happened to July? Although you usually say I'm stupid, I'm not stupid at all. When July came back, I found the symbol on her neck. Has she been enduring this pain? Sasuke listened to Naruto's words and didn't know how to answer. Indeed, July has been taking care of them all the way. Without her, he and Naruto might have died long ago. Don't worry, believe Kakashi, believe July. The two fell into silence with their own thoughts. Kakashi took July to the underground space under the tower. Instruct the people above not to disturb them. Then he began to carve the formation. Now all he could do was to help July seal the mysterious energy temporarily. He knew July's attitude towards the entire Konoha high level, so he planned to keep this a secret. Everything would wait until July woke up and let her make her own decision. After the sealing formation was carved, Kakashi helped July to the center of the formation. He started sealing directly, and the complex seal was completed. Sealing evil seal. The formation runes on the ground rushed towards July's neck. July, who was already unconscious, was awakened by pain again. The entire underground space was resounding with July's screams. Even the guards above heard it. He couldn't help but want to go down to see what happened, but he remembered Kakashi's instructions. In the end, he resisted his curiosity, but he couldn't help his brain make up for the fantasy. A strange rumor slowly spread among the Konoha ninjas. The seal was completed, and the violent energy was sealed to the source. The tadpole symbol on July's neck was circled. Kakashi walked to July and helped July, who had already woken up. This can only be a temporary seal, it can't solve the problem. The strength of the seal is related to your willpower. When your willpower is weak, the power of the seal will also weaken. July stood up slowly and nodded. I can actually suppress this chakra energy, but I just extract chakra continuously. My mental energy is insufficient, which makes this power explode in my body. Kakashi raised his own questions. 7th month, is this the work of Orochimaru? What happened in the end? Don't worry, there is no one else here. 7th month smiled helplessly. Orochimaru is too mean. He can't win the argument, so he just took action. No, he took action. He just bit my neck, and it became like this. But Kakashi teacher, you have to be careful about Sasuke and Konoha recently. One of the reasons why Orochimaru is staring at us is for Sasuke. But his purpose is definitely not just for Sasuke. He wants to take advantage of Konoha's Chunin exam to plan something. Kakashi completely believes in 7th month's judgment, and her wisdom is beyond mentioning. Besides, with Orochimaru's strength, it is easy to take Sasuke away, and it is also easy to kill 7th month. If 7th month knew that Kakashi thought so, she would definitely retort him with disdain. Want to kill me? Dream on. Flying Thunder God, let's learn about it. If it wasn't for delaying time to stabilize Orochimaru. She had run away long ago, could she still be tricked by Orochimaru? July made a note of this for Orochimaru, waiting for the future, waiting for her to research the Mountain Shock Star salary. The first shot was given to Orochimaru, so that he could taste the feeling of being hit in the face by a golden star. She communicated with Kakashi about the mysterious energy again. July fainted in Kakashi's arms again, and she fainted twice in just half a day. Before losing consciousness, July was so angry that she scolded Orochimaru again. Speechless, Kakashi could only hold July in a princess hug. Headed to the medical department set up in the tower. When holding July out, the people who were guarding upstairs just now All stared at Kakashi with strange eyes, making Kakashi confused. Kakashi walked away, and the people guarding upstairs spat at Kakashi's back, muttering, "Beast, not human." July lay in bed for 2 days. The exam was just over. Jumped out of bed and moved his body, and found that he was fine. Put on a windbreaker and go to the assembly point according to the instructions. Naruto saw July from a distance and ran over in surprise. "July, are you okay?" July slapped Naruto's hand that wanted to check his body. "You guy, you want to take advantage of me?" Naruto touched his hair with a smile, and Sasuke walked up and nodded to July. "Is it solved?" July touched his neck and replied, "It's solved, the small problem will not affect the game." The assembly was completed soon, with a total of 12 groups and 36 people. Konoha accounted for nearly half of the team, and the 7th, 8th, and 10th teams, including the team of Yakushi Kabuto, passed the second exam. After counting the number of people, a man who looked sick walked up. He covered his mouth and coughed while walking. "Hello everyone, I am the examiner of the third exam, Moonlight High 8. Now let me announce the content of the third selection exam. Individual battle." Cough, cough, cough. Chiyue looked at Moonlight High 8 worriedly, worried that he would cough out his lungs if he continued to cough like this. She had an impression of this Moonlight High 8. There was a very strong old man near her home. This Moonlight High 8 seemed to be the disciple of the old man who took the blame. Moonlight High 8 paused for a while and pointed to the big screen behind him. "Wait a minute, 2 ninjas will be randomly selected on the screen to fight. Until one side loses the fighting power or voluntarily admits defeat, the winner will advance to the last round of the exam." As soon as High 8 finished speaking, Kabuto Yakushi raised his right hand. "Examiner, I withdraw from this exam." Naruto hurriedly asked Kabuto why. "Naruto-kun, just walking here is my limit. I am now covered in wounds and my chakra has not recovered. So quitting here is the best choice." Naruto was very concerned about this. They still have a good impression of the senior who took good care of them from the beginning. But everyone has their own choices. Although it is a pity, I respect his decision. July looked at Yaoshiro Kabuto meaningfully, and then showed a thoughtful expression. Chapter 39. At first, Kabuto Yakushi gave them the impression of an intelligence expert. At the beginning, he took out more than 200 ninja knowledge cards, which contained almost all the information of noteworthy ninjas who took the exam. Although the information he gave was wrong. But that was also the result of his own concealment. At least the number of tasks was accurate. As an intelligence expert, you should know the teams that passed the first test. You don't pick on the weak, but force yourself to the point where you can't even participate in the second test. There must be something fishy in it, right? Unable to figure out what he meant, July simply gave up thinking. Anyway, he had already withdrawn, and she couldn't ask him in a straight face, "What are you going to do?" The names on the screen were still flashing wildly. Soon the two sides confirmed the players. Uchiha Sasuke vs Akato Kabuto. Both sides are Konoha ninjas. Sasuke is ready to leave. The guiding jonin of this team can watch the game on the spot. So Kakashi stood beside Naruto and cheered Sasuke on. July wants to give Sasuke a bad review here. Just look at the red copper armor over there. With a handsome move, he climbed over the railing and fell into the arena. Look at him again, he is ordinary and inferior to others in momentum. July, whose brain circuit suddenly became abnormal, was already designing his own appearance action. Moonlight Gale stood in the middle of the two people. Ask them if they are ready. Sasuke nodded coldly, and the red copper armor on the opposite side also answered that he was ready. Then Gale waved his hand and quickly left the field. The first round of the third individual battle began. The two people came up and fought face to face, without any intention of testing each other. Although Sasuke's physical skills are not as good as Shaoli, who specializes in physical skills. But he has been taught by Uchiha Itachi and Kakashi. The movements between punches and kicks are very standard, and they are elegant and powerful. But the red copper armor on the opposite side still has some special skills. Normal physical attack is a bit useless for Sasuke, so he can only use his special skills. Sasuke seized the flaw of red copper armor and made him lose his balance with a sweeping kick. Then he rushed forward and wanted to end the battle directly with ground skills. But just as the scissor kick clamped the head of red copper armor, he suddenly stretched out his hand and put it on Sasuke's chest. Sasuke instantly felt that more than half of the chakra in his body was gone. Originally, Orochimaru had consumed all his chakra when playing with Sasuke. Now it was absorbed by red copper armor again, making the chakra that had not recovered even worse. Without the support of chakra, Sasuke's strength instantly became much smaller. The scissor kick was directly broken away by red copper armor. Sasuke turned a few somersaults and quickly stood up, alert to the attack of red copper armor. The amount of chakra in his body could not withstand his several absorptions. The two of them fought again, in order to end Akadown armor from absorbing chakra. Sasuke directly opened the Sharingan to observe his movements. The Sharingan is worthy of being Konoha's famous bloodline limit. In the 2 Magatama state, he can already predict the enemy's movements for a short time. Gradually adapting to the prediction of the Sharingan, Sasuke slid to Akadown armor's feet. With a high kick, Akadown armor flew into the air, and he gathered his strength to follow. Akadown armor, which flew into the air, instantly turned into a target and was kicked continuously by Sasuke. Finally, his right foot turned into a battle axe and chopped him in the stomach. The last blow was powerful enough that Akadown armor fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Sasuke wins the first game. Moonlight Gale entered the venue and announced the result. Then the name of the second battle began to be drawn on the big screen. The result came out. The second game was Shino vs Saku. Shino might have a weak presence in normal times, even now standing in the field. Naruto still turned around and asked Sasuke who this was. Sasuke really didn't want to talk to this idiot, so July finally introduced Shino to Naruto again. Naruto seemed to understand, but his clear eyes betrayed him. He still didn't remember that Shino was his classmate. Back on the field, Shino Saku didn't say anything like Sasuke and the others, and just started fighting. The two of them still sprayed some trash talk before the fight. They started fighting after the trash talk. It can only be said that Saku's attack method was completely defeated by Shino. A small ninja village is a small ninja village, and its combat quality is simply incomparable to a behemoth like Konoha. Except for the sonic attack of his hands, Saku's physical skills are terrible. But July has never been very interested in Shino's fighting method. After all, who doesn't have some intensive phobia and insect phobia? Shino directly let the insects the sound waves block the holes on Sak's weapon, ending the sound waves from coming out. The sound waves had no outlet and could only accumulate in Sak's arm. Then Sak's arm was blown up directly. Shino won easily. The third match was Kenmi Cheng vs Kankuro. The boy with the mask from Sand Village won, and this battle was also a lesson for July. Whether it was Kenmi Cheng's judo or Kankuro's puppetry. The fourth match was Naruto vs Inuzuka Kiba. The result was ridiculous, and Naruto won. The Inuzuka clan is famous for training ninja dogs. So this battle also allowed ninja dogs to participate in the battle, and Naruto called it unfair. He pestered Kakashi to ask him to summon the dog from the battle against Zabuza to help him. But he was stopped by the examiner Gekko Hayate, who explained the rules of the game to Naruto again. The battle started, and Kiba was beating Naruto in a crushing manner in the first half. Although Naruto was being beaten, his strong physique and unyielding spirit made him stand firm. After a long time of attacking, he finally got impatient and used the ninjutsu of mimicking beasts. Akamaru on Ya's head transformed into another Ya. The finishing move, Yarongya released, and Naruto was beaten to death by 2 whirlwind-like attacks. But after falling down, he got up after a while. The main point is hard. Even Chiyue admired Naruto a little. There is a saying in the gangster world, "Don't mess with me, if you mess with me, I will beat your shit." Naruto was beaten to this extent by Ya and Akamaru. But what he sprayed out was not shit, but fart. It happened that Ya instantly appeared behind Naruto and pointed his nose at Naruto's butt. Ya, who performed the mimicking beast ninjutsu, had a sense of smell hundreds of times that of humans at this time. Naruto's fart directly knocked Ya unconscious. Naruto won the battle in such an outrageous way. He was excited to share this joy with his teammates, including Nana and others led by Kakashi. They all avoided Naruto and explained to others that they did not know this guy. After Kiba woke up, he wanted to fight Naruto. Naruto was still gloating and mocking Kiba. Nana quickly pulled Naruto aside and gave Kiba an apologetic smile. If it weren't for Sakura and Hinata pulling Kiba, Naruto would definitely be beaten now. Chapter 40. On the big screen, the names of various ninjas appeared. Many ninjas, whether familiar or not, showed their special skills. The civil war between Konoha is still going on. Another civil war has occurred. Haruno Sakura vs Yamanaka Ino. July looked at the two sisters with complicated expressions. According to Shikamaru, they had a very good relationship when they were young. Sakura was often laughed at by the children around her because of her forehead problem. This made her very unconfident and she often hid in the corner and cried. It was Ino who took the initiative to comfort Sakura and helped her tie up her hair, so that she could slowly regain her confidence. It can be said that Ino has made a great contribution to Sakura's current personality. But since she met Sasuke at school, the relationship between the two has changed. They began to confront each other slowly, and no one was willing to give in. Do we really have to put the blame on Sasuke? July is also a girl, and she understands this kind of thinking and change. It was nothing more than a normal mentality of sympathizing with each other and not willing to be inferior to each other from the initial competition for favor. It was just like what I said in my ES life, I was afraid that my brother would suffer, and I was also afraid that my brother would drive a Land Rover. The friendship between the two has not changed, it's just the complex emotional changes of a young girl growing up. The fight between the two girls was not so eye-catching. There was no passionate collision of physical skills, nor hot-blooded ninjutsu. But Naruto still watched with relish. Maybe this is the power of a lick dog. She replied with a question, "What are you doing?" The lick dog can imagine an ethical drama that she urgently needs me. 10 minutes later, the battle ended. Both sides finally lost the strength to fight again. In the end, a tie was achieved. Both sides lost the qualification to advance to the game and missed the chance to become a Chunin. Ino's game was completed, and Shikamaru and Choji were also drawn after him. Shikamaru's opponent was Kintsuchi from the Sound Village. As soon as she came up, Kintsu threw out two senbon. But her senbon was a little special. One had a bell tied to the end, and the other didn't. Shikamaru should have fought with her before, so he was more familiar with Kintsu's attack. People would subconsciously avoid senbon with bells, so they would ignore the other hidden senbon. Kintsu didn't stop attacking, and repeated the same trick, throwing out two more. Shikamaru wanted to focus on the one without the bell as before. But the bell nailed to the wall behind him made a sound. If you look closely, there is a thin silk thread on the bell, and the other end is tied to Kintsu's hand. This is how she controlled the bell to make a sound. Shikamaru suddenly felt a trance when he heard the bell behind him. The senbon that could have been avoided could only be blocked with his arms. Looking at Kintsu opposite, it was as if he had performed a clone technique, and there were 7 or 8 more Kintsu around him. Shikamaru knew he was hit, and Kintsu on the other side was like a villain. He began to explain the principles of his moves on the spot, and kept throwing senbon at Shikamaru. However, these attacks were not light or heavy, avoiding all the vital points. Otherwise, the villain would die because of his talkativeness. Just as Kintsu was shouting for the final blow. She was controlled by Shikamaru's shadow imitation technique. It was because she had been arguing crazily before, Shikamaru made his shadow thinner. Then he imitated the shadow of the silk thread and successfully controlled Kintsu. Kintsu on the other side was still mocking Shikamaru. Even so, how do you plan to win? Shikamaru didn't care what she said, and controlled her to take out the shuriken from the ninja tool bag tied to her leg. Both sides threw shurikens at each other, and Kintsu shouted Yamete. But the shuriken had already been thrown, and Shikamaru dodged Kintsu's shuriken by leaning back. Kintsuchi, who was controlled by the shadow, did the same thing as him. But Kintsuchi had kept his distance at first to guard against Shikamaru's shadow imitation technique. There was a wall behind her at this time, and then she ran headfirst into the wall and knocked herself unconscious. Ninjas must be good at observing and using the surrounding environment and terrain to fight. Don't underestimate me. Shikamaru successfully won the victory by fighting against the opponent's suicidal behavior with his own wisdom. As expected, he is a member of the Nara clan. He is a crushing IQ. But Choji was not so lucky. His opponent was also DOS from the Sound Village, and he was the only one left in their sound village. DOS came up and said fat man. This directly angered Choji. Choji started with the multiplication technique, and his limbs gathered together to form a huge meatball. July sighed beside him, and every time he saw this move of Choji, he could think of a famous dish in his ES life. Braised lion head. The opposite side. According to Shikamaru's introduction, DOS seems to be playing with sound waves like his teammates. Before going on stage, Shikamaru also told Choji, "Make sure to hide your ears so that the opponent's sound wave attack will be ineffective." Shikamaru was still praising Choji for doing a good job, but Chiyue didn't think so. Choji's flesh bomb impact did not pose a threat to DOS. He himself didn't know whether he was dizzy because he was unfamiliar with the moves, or because his head was buried in his stomach and he had no vision. He crashed into the wall, and DOS seized this flaw and slapped Choji's stomach with a palm. Choji in the wall was still talking, but it didn't work. But Chiyue knew that Choji had already lost. Judging from the attack methods of the two people in the sound village, they should be playing with sound waves. There are many types of sound waves, such as ultrasound and infrasound. But no matter what kind of sound wave, it has its own propagation path. The human body is already in the propagation path of sound waves, so simply blocking the ears cannot end the sound wave attack. Look, DOS just flicked the weapon on his arm. Dinxie was directly knocked unconscious by the sound wave. DOS kindly explained the propagation principle of a wave of sound waves. Chiyue said that people in the ninja world seemed to have that serious disease. It seemed that they had to tell others all their information. The exam continued, and the names of the group of players appeared on the big screen. However, this group of battles attracted a lot of people's attention. Hyuga Neji versus Hyuga Hinata. It was another civil war in Konoha, and it was a civil war between the Hyuga clan, the largest clan in Konoha. The other participating ninjas knew through various inquiries that Hyuga Neji was a branch family, and Hyuga Hinata was a main family. Well, the topic buff was directly filled. However, the trend of the battle was beyond everyone's expectations. As a branch family, Ningxi has been mocking Hinata from the main family. He was merciless. Hinata stood up again and again and was knocked down again and again. But the gap in strength can't be made up by perseverance. After all, Naruto is a special case. Ningxi asked Hinata why she didn't surrender and end this painful torture as soon as possible. "It's not painful for me. You are the most painful in the struggle between the branch family and the main family." I don't know if this sentence hit Ningxi's pain point. Ningxi rushed towards Hinata with murderous intent. Just when Ningxi's last blow was about to hit Hinata, the surrounding ninjas saw that if Hinata took this attack, her life might be in danger. Moonlight Gale ran and shouted for Ningxi to stop, but Ningxi, who was already overwhelmed by anger, didn't listen. In the end, Kakashi, Kai, and Hinata's instructor, Hong, arrived at the venue in an instant. Moonlight Gale also appeared in front of Neji in time to block Neji. 3 Jonins and 1 special Jonin attacked together, and Neji won a special honor. At this time, July pushed Naruto beside him. "Don't you want to go down and take a look? Hinata is your only little fangirl." In fact, there was no need for July to remind him. Naruto was moved by Hinata's spirit of not giving up. He wanted to rush down a long time ago. If the rules did not allow it, he would have wanted to teach Neji a lesson. Now that July said this, he was so excited that he didn't care. He ran directly to Hinata. Nisai, who had regained his sanity a little, cared about Hinata and Naruto. The last one is the last one. You will never know the gap with the genius. You are the same, and so is Hinata. Looking at Hinata's miserable appearance with blood all over her mouth, Naruto slowly squatted down. And his palm was stained with the blood Hinata had just vomited. "You keep talking nonsense in your mouth. Don't meet me in the game. I will definitely beat you up. Just wait." Ningxi snorted coldly, and Moonlight Gale hurried to maintain order in the examination room. Let everyone leave, and the medical staff also took Hinata away. But at this moment, Ningxi, who had not turned around, suddenly grabbed his neck with both hands with a painful expression. Kakashi and Kai hurried forward to check the situation. It turned out that Ningxi's neck was entangled by a circle of faintly visible steel wire. Looking in the direction of the steel wire, he saw July with a chill face at a glance. Kai hurriedly asked July to let go, and July looked at Kakashi and Sarutobi Hiruzen before slowly putting away the wire in his hand. Thank Kakashi and Kai, if you had taken one step forward just now, your head would definitely not stay on your neck as obediently as it is now. July stared at Niji with murderous intent, while Niji looked terrified. Just now hey really feel like I'm dead. Why? Niji was very puzzled and unwilling in his heart. No reason, I just looked down on you. How long has the feud between the branch family and the main family lasted? Don't you know? Hinata is 1 year younger than you. Why do you want to blame Hinata for the fact that you can't change? You are innocent, but Hinata is not innocent. She can decide her own birth. You think it's reasonable to bully people weaker than you. If you really have the ability and you are unhappy with the main family, then resist. Why don't you dare to resist? Because you are afraid of death, so you vent your resentment and hatred on the innocent Hinata on his body. I remember Hinata has a younger sister, right? I think her name is Hanabi, and she is a genius of the main family. According to the rules of your family, a branch family of the main family should be separated between the two of you. But why do you dare to attack Hinata, but not Hanabi? You attacked strongly against Hinata, who was weak in character and understood your pain. But you were timid and didn't dare to attack the person who defended the rules of the main family and caused you pain. Hee, what a genius of the branch family with a tragic fate, you still have the nerve to say that Naruto and Hinata are the last ones. 7th month's output not only made Nisai feel ashamed. It also directly brought the ugliness of the Konoha Hyuga clan to the table. But is this occasion the place to talk about these things? Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly signaled Gekugale to continue the exam, and Kakashi and Kai also took Nisai out. Before Kakashi returned to 7th month, the battle screen showed 7th month's name. Naruto cheered for July loudly. July's opponent was a cannon fodder from the Land of Grass. Speaking of the Land of Grass, she remembered the girl she had saved in the forest before. It seemed that she failed the second test. The battle started quickly and ended even faster. Except for Kakashi and other senior ninjas, no one else in the field could see July's movements clearly. I only felt a flash in front of my eyes, and then cannon fodder B flew out and hit the wall heavily. For the ninjas who had passed the exam, they all looked at July with a serious expression. Putting myself into this battle, can I react to July's speed? The answer seemed to be about to come out. Kai turned his head and looked at Niji beside him. Niji, this girl is very strong, very strong. Her speed is almost invincible in your class. Kai looked serious and spoke to Niji in a serious tone. In fact, when July tied his neck with steel wire without anyone noticing, he already knew that he was no match for July. He had his eyes open the whole time, but he didn't find any clues. July was very satisfied with their expressions, and showed a little hidden power. Isn't it for this moment? You guys were showing off before. But the show was not high-end enough, and the high-end operation of the show depends on yourself. July gathered her expression, adjusted her temperament, and looked cold. She was so young, just standing there, like a queen who was patrolling the world. She gently flicked the non-existent dust on her windbreaker. She returned to Kakashi and the others with a handsome teleport. For the people in Konoha who were familiar with July, they had gradually adapted to the critical strike from July's appearance and temperament. But for others who saw July for the first time, she was like a goddess. Especially the domineering speech just now and the unparalleled speed. Many men and women in other ninja villages turned their eyes into hearts. Some brave male ninjas were even eager to approach and chat up July. But they were stopped by Naruto and Sasuke, the two flower protectors. July was their companion and comrade in arms of Team 7, and they would never let outsiders snatch July away. This was the first time that the two of them reached a consensus on something. Kakashi was very helpless at this time, thinking that he had finally led a class. Why are all his subordinates so troublesome? Uzumaki Naruto, the first in unexpectedness, is brave but not wise when encountering things, and is an idiot. The main reason is that his identity is very troublesome. He is both a Jinchuriki and the son of his teacher. Uchiha Sasuke, according to July, is a dead tsundere, in the late stage of Chunibu. Apart from these character flaws, he is undoubtedly a genius. Shintu Chiyue, I can't evaluate myself. I have top wisdom beyond ordinary people. My true strength is a mystery. But in terms of the talent that has been shown, he is undoubtedly a genius among geniuses. But sometimes he will do things that make Kakashi puzzled. Alas, my heart is really tired.